5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everyone, on the ATYL Media channels, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, /X, as well as on the Sly Job Sal TikTok account. What a beautiful, beautiful Monday morning we have. Hope everybody's having a great start to their day. Bright and early, right on time. Here we are, post New Hampshire, talking a little bit about cup racing, truck racing, and everything in between. Big lobsters getting tossed around yesterday. That wasn't the only thing that was red in the face, though. There were some teammates that were not too happy with each other. But we'll talk about all that. Another strong run from Carson Hocevar. A great performance from Team Penske. This is what they do. They're here. How dominant they'll be and how long they'll be here for, I'll let y'all decide. But they sure looked good yesterday. No secrets here. Ryan Blaney lifts the lobster in Loudon, winning at New Hampshire, advancing himself on to the next round, the round of 8 of the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. I think he had said he'd wanted to win one of these since he was a kid. So really cool to see Ryan Blaney get to victory lane. More even a story to me than Penske being fast. That's not a shocker to anyone. But Josh Berry, who had a just absolutely abysmal first round of the playoffs, right? Could not get it right, could not buy any kind of luck. And even in the race at New Hampshire, absolutely just from the back to the front, from the back to the front. I don't know what it is. These Penske Ford team affiliates or team themselves has loaded up at these types of tracks. But this is like everyone's big warning that Penske is ready for Phoenix, because when you talk about New Hampshire and you talk about Phoenix, similar kind of tracks, kind of flat, you know, it's different configurations, obviously, but different kind of a similar feel, kind of a similar setup. And it'll be interesting to see what the Penske camp and what the Ford camp is going to do moving forward. But Josh Berry with just an unbelievable day of highs and lows yesterday. He ultimately makes a run toward the end of the race back to the leader in Ryan Blaney, but doesn't really have all the speed he needs and just comes up short in second. We finally saw a little bit of life out of that Hendrick camp. People have been talking about, is Hendrick dead? Is it over for Hendrick this year? What's happening with Hendrick in the playoffs? And William Byron comes home and he kind of answers those questions. It's a third place finish for the 24 car. Did they have the speed to really get up to lead and keep it? Unfortunately, the way these cars drive at these tracks, the aero package here, you know, once you get slipped in behind, it's really hard. It's really hard to make strong passes happen. But William Byron, I thought, ran a great race all day, trying to strategically on restarts, you know, through the stage breaks, get his places on grid back and try to compete at the front, given if he was given an opportunity to win this race. So yeah, the Josh Berry qualifying run, even just all on its own. He qualified, Josh Berry qualified third. The top 5 to qualify in this race, as we kind of mix in the qualifying and the results. Joey Logano was sitting on the pole for this. Ryan Blaney qualified second. Josh Berry third. Tyler Reddick fourth. William Byron fifth. Carson Hocevar sixth. And kind of talk about those drivers, because in the end, it was Ryan Blaney as your winner. Josh Berry in second. William Byron in third. Joey Logano in fourth. Chase Elliott in fifth. Here we go. Where are the Chase Sexuals? Are you here? Come talk to me. I need you here. I need you here talking to me right now, because the Chase Elliott fans this year have just been so upset. And I think you have a good reason to not be upset anymore. I think you're okay. I think you're okay this week. I'm not saying okay the rest of the year, but I'm saying I think you're do you feel like you can breathe a little easier as a Chase Elliott fan now with a top 5 finish here today. You got William Byron finishing 3rd. You've got Chase Elliott finishing 6th. You've got Kyle Larson finishing 7th. I don't know. Listen, is that the dominant run of form that Hendrick is used to? You know, finishing 1, 2, 3 or whatever? No, of course not. But this is a great step forward for Hendrick after the last few weeks, where they've been kind of facing this criticism of kind of what is happening over there. You know, and I don't think you could ever count out the Hendrick camp ever. You know, the highs are high and the lows are low, but they are always in the mix consistently toward the front, whether it's in points or on the track week over week. So they're up here with the best, competing with the likes of Christopher Bell with a 6th place finish. And obviously the Penske cars and the Penske affiliate car in Josh Berry. So what do you think is going to happen with Bowman? I think the Bowman stuff, there's more. I think there's more to that than there's ever been. There's certainly more opportunity for someone to step in and do something with that team. I don't know if it's a driver thing. I don't know if it's a team thing. I don't know what the problem is over there. There seems to be a few things compounding. What I do know is that Ally is a very strong advocate and sponsor for Alex Bowman. And I know Alex has some time still on his contract with Hendrick. So that will be a very hotly contested seat, though, if there's such a time that seat becomes available. And I have a favorite for me who I think is going to go to that seat. We see Hendrick now kind of expanding, right? So they have Spire as part of their camp, just the way that Penske has Wood Brothers as part of their camp, right? So you can kind of shimmy, shake, and shuffle these drivers around. And then there's Haas factory team now who is going to get Hendrick's support as well. I wouldn't expect to see drivers move from Haas back and forth to Hendrick and Spire, but there's an ecosystem here, right? That's the point I'm trying to make. Personally, if a move happens, and I'm not saying that I know something that anybody else doesn't, because I don't. I would love to see Bowman stay in that car and be successful. But the way that it looks like it's happening right now, it feels like Carson Hocevar could go into that car. I see somebody in the chat too, Connor Zilich. I have a hard time with that one, only because is Trackhouse really going to let him go? Trackhouse has a generational talent in Connor Zilich, and I think a lot of the future of what that team does, they're going to put their flag in the ground and build around Connor Zilich. So if they let the Hendrick Motorsports of the world come in and steal away Connor Zilich and put him in any of their cars, I don't know. I think they would be foolish. They would be foolish to have that happen. Oh, I missed the thing. Did I click the thing to start the show this morning? Nope. And now I'm going to do this. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Technology issues. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Little tech issue. So that's kind of my synopsis of the Hendrick situation right now. It feels like that is a possibility. And I don't think there's a lot to talk about in terms of silly season moves yet. Because nobody is quite too confident in the status of their charters moving forward. So you're not going to get a lot of news. That's why we haven't gotten a lot of news about driver changes and team changes and things like that so far, because everybody's kind of holding their breath and waiting to see what exactly the future of the system they operate in looks like, which is normal. I don't blame them. So I'm going to scroll back here because I know I missed a couple of comments, and then we're going to go back to our notes. I was at New Hampshire Motor Speedway all weekend. The modified and the truck race was more exciting than the Cup cars on Sunday. We can jump around here. The modified race looked unbelievable. I watch modifieds at Wall Stadium every Saturday night. We had a great show at the Jersey Shore, the Roar at the Shore this weekend. And, seeing those guys at New Hampshire, that size of a track, you can feel the draft in those modifieds. We were talking to some of the officials at New Hampshire, also moonlight and work at Wall week over week too. And there were folks who drove from New Hampshire all the way back home to be a part of our racing event on Saturday night. But just hearing them talk about that modified race and unbelievable, I think, what happens in the mods that people don't really appreciate modified racing to, it's very Northeast. Late model racing is kind of getting out, right? It's not just a Southeast thing anymore. You have, the Cars Tour is in the Southeast, it's in the Northwest, it's in everywhere. The only place it ain't is in the Northeast. Like it's just doesn't happen as frequently. For whatever reason, it's just not as adopted, which is confusing to me because they're my favorite cars to watch at a short track level. But it's just a modified with a body on it. I don't know. That's my 2 cents on that. But the modified race was Remkema and Bonsignor battling at the end of that one. There were some cautions, but Remkema just uses a run to get way down on the bottom and just get Justin Bonsignor up enough to make that pass. Now, Remkema had a ton of speed on that final run. I don't think, modified guys are notorious for making contact with each other, rubbing his race in these open wheel cars. I mean, you see it all the time if you're watching modified racing. The chrome horn is very much so the thing. But Bonsignor blocking Remkema all the way down the backstretch. Remkema shoots to the inside. And then as they come to the start finish, Remkema tries to throw a block up on Bonsignor and kind of slides up the track. Bonsignor just has nowhere to go, plows through him, and the front right wheel, makes contact with the outside wall as they're going across the start finish. It blows the wheel off. The whole wheel is off the car. And they had to flatbed the winner's car, flatbed off the track into victory lane, 3 wheels. You talk to me about a good time party racing. That is some of the most entertaining racing with one of the most entertaining finishes in a modified that I've seen in a long time. So really, really awesome for those guys. I almost forgot to talk about that. It wasn't on my list, and it should be. Modified racing at tracks like New Hampshire and Martinsville and Richmond, and I don't know, wherever you can put modifieds on track where a cup race is happening or a similar series is happening. I hope they do it for many, many more years to come. I hope there's many, many more tracks that the Smart Tour and Wheeling Tour and whoever tour and are thinking about visiting and being at in the future, because I think if you can put on an exciting product for folks in modifieds, it could be just as popular as late model racing if done correctly. So really excited to see those guys at New Hampshire. And it was really exciting. I mean, I know there was some other racing happening too. I saw a clip of Luke Baldwin trying to make a last lap pass as well in mods. So not that I'm like a modified guy. This isn't a modified racing show, but we love the modifieds, and it's something that, if people understood it better, I feel like they would appreciate it more. Thank you. New camera. This is the second week with the new camera. We spent some money. We spent some we spent some money on this new camera. It felt like it was time to step it up. I felt like I wasn't making as much short form content. So for those of you who don't know, this is a very busy time of year for Sal outside of what you see right here on your phone or on your computer. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the support. You can help me pay back this camera. This is a very busy time of the year for me. So if you haven't seen a lot of the short form stuff, or you've been like, hey, where is he? There's just a lot going on for me. And then I'm also looking to rearrange my living situation and purchase a home. So we've been incredibly blessed, myself and Mrs. Sal, to have the opportunity to do some exciting things. It's always when it rains, it pours. So we're working through that, but all good things, thankfully. Late models at Martinsville. See, that's great. I'm into it. I wish I was going. Okay. Okay, so what we talked about so far, for those of you who are just popping in, talking a little bit about the Penske domination at flat tracks, right? Ryan Blaney wins this race, lifts the lobster at Loudon. Ryan Blaney in victory lane. Loved in the interview. He talked about how, he's wanted one of these for a long, long time. Now he finally gets to put one up on the wall, get that lobster meat shipped back to the house, make himself a nice little lobster roll sandwich or whatever he's going to do with it. Wicked delicious, as they would say at New Hampshire. Anyway, but it is this kind of warning for the rest of the field that Penske's ready. They're ready for places like Phoenix. They're ready for the next few weeks, because this track at New Hampshire is similar in a lot of ways to what you'll see at Phoenix in terms of the way the track is kind of built and the flat nature of it and everything that happens. If you're setting yourself up well for New Hampshire, odds are you're going to run pretty good at Phoenix too. So Penske cars, big surprise, look like they're ready to run well at Phoenix, which is not uncharacteristic for how they set things up for their season over there. And it's great to see Blaney win. A Blaney win feeds generations. I think for me, it feeds generations more than Chase Elliott wins. So love seeing YRB in victory lane. It's fun. Joey Logano, though, the hometown kid, him and Ryan Preece from this area, Logano, though, had a ton of speed all weekend, was on the pole, ran really well, just didn't quite have the edge at the end to stay competitive. He brought it home. He brought it home fourth, which is nothing to shake a stick at, which is a phrase, by the way, that I didn't know people didn't know. Nothing to shake a stick at. Has anybody ever heard that? Sal, I got all these funny little quips and things that, like, my old man parents always said, and I don't realize that the young people don't understand sometimes. Brian, morning, sir. Love what you guys are doing at ATYL Media. Appreciate standing on the desk. Appreciate standing desk in the background. That one myself. YRB is a clear favorite for the championship. Yes, I appreciate you being here, Brian, and being a part of what we're doing at ATYL, because without the people, we're just talking to ourselves over here. So appreciate you being in here in the chat this morning. This is my standing desk is my it's my secondary. This is how the bills get paid, and then this is where the fun happens. So you know how that goes, I'm sure. Ryan Blaney, though, I agree, is absolutely someone who could be in this Final Four, and who could be someone we're talking about as a champion again, just because of the way he's running right now and the way things are heating up. I think the way that things are going at Penske is we got comers and goers in general right now, where Penske's on its rise. And what is happening? What's happening? Here we go. I gotta psych myself up. What is happening at Joe Gibbs Racing right now? This is a team that swept the first round. Briscoe, Hamlin, Bell in the first round. Now we've got Ty Gibbs not running so friendly against his Joe Gibbs teammates. What's going on there? Huh? That's crazy, ain't it? And for all the grief, with all the grief that people give Denny Hamlin, I got to tell you, I got to, can we just get a round of applause? A round of applause. Can we get some hot dogs in the chat for Denny Hamlin this week for not spinning Ty Gibbs out sooner than he did? Ha. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? I don't get it. I understand Ty Gibbs is who Ty Gibbs is, but you got two drivers running for a championship, and you're not gonna pick a line and you're gonna block both of your teammates because you're running for 11th place on track. That is actually crazy. I want to see if I can pull the clip up. Hold on one second. Okay, I have it pulled up on Twitter. So for those of you watching on TikTok, you'll be able to see this. Unfortunately, I don't think those of you watching on YouTube will be able to see it. But let's see. Like, is this crazy? Am I crazy? And you see, Denny tries to run Ty up the track to say, hey, bud, get out of the way here. This is not something you're fighting for as a championship right now. And Ty kind of cuts down going into turns 1 and 2, and Denny just doesn't give him any room on the track. And I thought the interesting part of this, after the incident had kind of happened, Ty Gibbs is sitting down there at the bottom of the track waiting for the track officials to come get him, and he's giving Denny the bird out the window. It looks like typical iRacing. I don't know what that's about with Ty Gibbs. You know, Denny tried not to get into it. Again, hot dogs in the chat for Denny Hamlin. Kudos, because big mad. I would have been big mad after that. And I get you don't want to talk about the owner's grandson that way. You got to think Coach knows. Coach knows what's going on. He's been involved in racing. Super Bowl winning coach. He's a cup winning team owner. He's an unbelievable, just identifier of talent through athletic, endeavors of football and of racing and whatever. And he knows what's going on out there. And he knows Ty Gibbs wants to win a race, but can't. And I stood on the, hey, let's give Ty Gibbs time hill for a long time. I thought it was going to happen. He could have won at Bristol, Ty Gibbs. Had the car for it. The clutch gene doesn't appear to be there right now for that 54. And for him to go out and run his teammates, not just the 11. The 11 is the one that makes contact with the 54, but he's also running the 20 like that, holding up the 20 for 11th place in a year where he's not a championship contender, not even a playoff conversation, the 54 car. What do you do? You go into that Monday meeting. What is the conversation like in that Monday meeting? Is he going to listen? Is Ty Gibbs going to sit there with Denny Hamlin, and Denny Hamlin's going to air his grievances to him, and he's going to listen and make a concerted effort to change moving forward? I don't know. I think you all have your own opinion on it after what we've seen throughout the years here of watching that person, of watching Ty Gibbs' career through Xfinity and now through the beginning here of his Cup career. And I feel like payback is coming. I would say this. That's not a war that Ty Gibbs wants to wage against Denny Hamlin. It's not. It's not worth it for Ty to go to Kansas and retaliate against his teammate. It's not going to end well for Ty. if coach is going to stay out of it and let the boys be boys out on the racetrack, and Denny doesn't have to worry about losing his seat because he and coach's grandson are going to get into it, I wouldn't want to be on the end of that. I wouldn't. I just don't understand the lack of respect for two teammates that are running for a championship. That's my issue. And then not just to have a lack of respect for your teammates, but the lack of respect for all the partners and for the folks in the shop and for all the people that his grandfather works for, or all the people that work for his grandfather. People putting food on the table back at home, trying to win races, trying to be competitive, and you're out here playing tiddlywinks, blocking 2 lanes from 2 guys that are running for a championship. So I don't know. Very confusing. What's up, Sal? Just got into work. Toyota was not on it yesterday. It was a Ford day. Hamlin signed a 1 year. He signed an additional 1 year deal. So this year and next year. Contracts in NASCAR, there you go, through 2027. Contracts in NASCAR mean the littlest to me in the entire sports world. They leave doors and loopholes and windows open in those contracts at any time for an owner or a group to move on from a driver, or for a driver to move on from a team, kind of in short notice. So I don't know. I don't take a lot of stock in what it looks like. So Coach stands to lose a lot of money at the hands of his grandson. He better step up. I think Denny wins a championship. He retires. I would. I mean, if I was him, I would just walk off into the sunset with a little championship. You know, go be an owner, fight the good fight in court against the sanctioning body. Hey, now, I don't know. I felt like that story dominated kind of the weekend here, even more so than how dominant Penske was, and I don't think we should sleep on that. I think you're looking at what if other teams don't step up to the plate, if the Hendricks don't come and try to be competitive and make this a 3-horse race between Hendrick, Penske, and Gibbs. But if any of those Gibbs cars make it to the Final Four, if any of those Penske cars make it to the Final Four, it's gonna be lights out. Yeah, those 2311 cars, hot brakes, hot rotors. We saw it at Bristol, and now happening again. I don't know if that's like a cooling issue through like the air ducts cooling the brakes, or if they're just not, I don't know. But interesting to see it happen twice, 2 weeks in a row, to have issues with those cars in particular with that same issue again and again. Oh, I missed this one. Supercars and SA Motorsport Board introducing a Toyota, Ford, and Chevrolet NASCAR wildcard spot for future Adelaide Supercar Grand Finales. Ooh, that's interesting. So they want to get a closer partnership with the NASCAR folks, get some of the NASCAR drivers over to supercars. I know Cindric is the Ford representative. There was a conversation about Connor Zilich potentially going over to Australia to run the Adelaide Supercar Grand Finale this year for Chevy, and I guess Toyota would want somebody in the seat too. So that's interesting. I don't know a ton about supercars. I know that's where Shane Van Gisbergen come from. And I know he had an incredible career over there. Watch some of his highlights, but to say that I am a supercars aficionado or a big fan is a little bit of a stretch. So, but I always like when we can collaborate with other series and kind of get folks fired up about NASCAR all over. So. What is your opinion on front row cars being less competitive than the trucks? Is it the drivers or the equipment? I mean, I've talked about front row a couple of times, and I think they're outperforming their equipment. Even as abysmal as the results may seem, I think they are outperforming what they have. That truck program has obviously been very successful over the years, but they obviously don't have the same level of support on the Cup side. And I think everything going on at FRM with the lawsuit and things hasn't helped. I don't know what their technical alliance is over there at FRM. I'm not sure. We know Wood Brothers has Penske. Imagine FRM had 3 cars that ran like Penske. That would be crazy. Zane Smith, Todd Gillen, and Noah Gragson. I use Noah Gragson for kind of the benchmark for how things are going on that side of that team. Because people forget that Noah was like the most dominant driver in the Xfinity Series, right? How many races did he win for Junior in that Xfinity Series that year? Just it felt like he was the only guy for a while. And if you have a driver with that caliber of talent, and they go from an Xfinity ride, and Xfinity to Cup doesn't always translate, but it seemed like Noah had the understanding for how to win. It feels like he's just not getting they're not getting the support they need at FRM to make it really, really competitive. Let's do a little Googling. Let's see. Correct. So the FRM Technical Alliance refers to Front Row Motorsports 2024 partnership with Team Penske, which involved the NASCAR Cup Series engineering, aerodynamic, race setup and strategy, and pit crew development resources. So there you go. So they do. Front Row now collaborate with Team Penske on engineering, aerodynamics, race setup. This was February 15th, 2024. So this was last year, but obviously not getting whatever. Can't. No. Okay. Anyway, let me go back to my notes real quick, because we're talking a lot about Cup. We're also going to talk about some trucks as well, but we'll save that for a minute. I'm going to go down my list here, because as important as it is for me to talk to the chat and talk about comments and answer questions and do that, I have to get a couple of things out just in general. This was really a Penske statement win. While we're talking about Penske, the 12 team looks like they are ready to go. This is the same aero package and the same tire as Phoenix. We've talked about that. This is something that you hear teams talking about in the garage. Chris Gabehart, quoted. But Penske as a whole hit the setup. This was the right thing for Penske to do. Joey Logano was on the pole. The 21 comes out of this shop. They are ready to go. Not now, just now, but also down the road at Phoenix. This also puts them in a good position for Martinsville. Similar track. We were talking the JGR drama. I don't know how you can sit here and confidently say that Denny Hamlin is the one who is in the wrong for this move. I think I've tried to defend Ty Gibbs over time, and it gets more difficult when things like this happen. So, I mean, the question really is, should a non-playoff teammate race their playoff teammates the way that Ty raced Denny and Christopher Bell for a 11th place position? I'll let you all be the judge of that. That's what we're here for. I thought it was interesting that Coach said that the drivers will sort it out on their own and have that conversation about playoff etiquette on their own. And I get he's in an uncomfortable position, but it feels like, as folks were commenting, it feels like Ty is not the kind of guy that's just going to lie down and move on and show maturity that he was wrong. It feels like if he gets the opportunity to get to the 11, he's going to do something to him next week at Kansas. So this could be an ongoing, lingering issue for a driver who's in a championship run, who owns a team with a very strong technical alliance with Joe Gibbs Racing, who is in the midst of a lawsuit against the sanctioning body. All of that happening while running for a championship. And now here comes Ty Gibbs to make problems happen. So we'll see how long it really lasts. A lot of words happen in NASCAR on the radio and in the pit, and then things kind of get smoothed over behind closed doors and it goes away. I don't know if that's something that will happen here, but that certainly is. They'll certainly have that opportunity probably today in a driver's meeting or in a team meeting. But I would be really surprised if you saw payback, but I wouldn't put it past them. Let me slide down here. Okay. Ryan Blaney, obviously, I think championship form right now. I don't think that's a hot take. It's elite long run speed. He's locked into the round of 8 and the path to Phoenix. He said himself, the lights are getting brighter. So he's ready to roll. He sees it all unfolding in front of him with the schedule of tracks that they have coming up. Same for the 22. It's a huge points day for them. Swings him above the cut. And again, the 22, the Penske team has a great advantage at these flat tracks with the aero, with the setups, with the way that they come to the track right off the truck. Christopher Bell in that 20 car salvages a 6th place finish. Hamlin P12, obviously not super excited about his day as we've talked about, but I mean, not the worst finish in the world. One he's going to want back, but William Byron 3rd, Elliott 5th. Elliott come up from 27th to finish 5th at New Hampshire, by the way. So, obviously people are going to point fingers at Hendrick. You've got, P3 for Byron, P5 for Elliott, and Larson is finishing in 7th. They're back. They're here. They're knocking on the door. So, only 7 total laps led across all the HMS cars at New Hampshire, but this is a big step forward from kind of where we had seen them over the last couple of weeks. People were kind of left scratching their heads. What's happening over there? Well, things are happening. Things are improving. You asked for it. When Hendrick gets better and Hendrick gets dominant, expect them to make these kinds of incremental gains and then start to win. Anyway, 23-11. Both teams seemed like they were just kind of out to lunch. Not really a great deal for them. Both of those drivers now sit below the cut. Kansas becomes a place for them where they need to go in there and make it their track. That's a place that 23-11 and the Toyotas have always run really, really well at Kansas, but you're going to have to put on a show there now because teams are ready to roll. It's not, it's not playtime, it's playoff time. So oh, yes. Okay, I'm going back to the chat now. This was a sellout, by the way, for New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Chase Elliott had a very good day. Yes, Dom, he did. Yes, Dom, he did. That 9 car, that Hendrick camp, that Chase Elliott. I saw somebody brought their own siren to the campground too to sound the siren if he won. Is Bubba in a must-win situation yesterday to make the 8? I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be tight. Let's see how many points we have. Let's go to the playoffs. Let's go to the playoffs and see, ladies and gentlemen. Bubba Wallace, -27. Tyler Reddick, -23. Austin Cindric, -19. Ross Chastain, the first one out, -12. So it's not quite winning in, but it depends on how they do it in Kansas. But yeah, New Hampshire sold out. I see somebody will fill half the stands isn't a sellout. They sold all the tickets. All of the tickets were sold. It's the place looked packed on Sunday. So, I mean, it's just one of these deals where racing in the Northeast is something that's important to people in the Northeast, and they don't get a lot of Cup Series races in the Northeast anymore. Pocono, New Hampshire, Watkins Glen, Dover. That's it. So it's and a lot of those tracks, you get one appearance a year, and that's it. I talked to some folks who were at the track. They were it was buzzing. So New Hampshire's a great place. If it was a little closer to me, I would have been up there. It's just can't do it in a day. But looks like a place that people really enjoy. The racing has been fairly competitive. It's gotten more competitive as time has gone on. I mean, since that rain race was, there's been like a little bit of air of lore around New Hampshire, right? But it's a cool place with a cool trophy, and I think people pack out and they want to see that kind of racing. Again, it's like modifieds are like the biggest thing up there, even by me. And anytime people get a chance to see the Cup Series or the Truck Series or the Xfinity Series come to town, they want it. They want it. They want it. So. Gibbs hit everything but the lottery leading up to this, drove down on Bell on the front stretch too. I love that. I think a lot of people are going to come around to the Denny pack, the Denny Bros after this week. I think people are going to realize that Denny's not the villain I think everybody paints him to be all the time, and that he is out there getting run kind of rough. I have this piece of hair back here that's just got to go. There we go. Someone who was there at the track and it was in fact packed. Most people showed up for green flag. Well, that's it. That's what matters. I saw some like overhead shots of kind of the whole track area, and even when folks weren't in the grandstands, like through the midway and through the fan zone, people were, it looked real busy all weekend. I was even impressed with the crowd for the modified race. Like, you're never going to get as many people for a modified race, but when they put on performances like they did this week, it's great. Truck race was a pretty decent turnout. I mean, again, it's not the same level of, fandom as you get in the Cup Series, but we'll talk about a little bit about the Truck Series. Corey Heim, guess what, everyone? Back in victory lane. I believe this is win number 10. 10? No, 9. This is 9 wins on the year for Corey Heim in the Truck Series. He's obviously the championship favorite. Corey Heim, Chandler Smith, Lane Riggs, Gio Ruggiero, Ty Majeski, Grant Infinger, Caden Honeycutt, Corey LaJoy, Christian Eckes, and Raja Karuth finish in the top 10 at the Magic Mile. The biggest piece of this race that I saw, biggest thing I saw come out of this race, and I didn't watch live, was that wreck with Tony Breidinger. She took a heck of a lump there. Something must have broke. She makes an abrupt right-hand turn, catches Crafton and a couple other folks as she just plows up into that wall. Hopefully she's okay. That was not a comfortable thing to watch. It looked painful. So hopefully everything's okay over there. That's always a car that's quick. That's always a team that performs really well, but just the luck of the draw just hasn't happened for that 5 car or that 5 truck this year. Xfinity was off. They were off this week. They'll be back at Kansas. I think Xfinity at Kansas is one of the best products we get. It's very similar to Xfinity at Charlotte, the Oval. So I'm excited for them to come back and start running and doing things again. The Xfinity Series, I've said it once, I've said it a million times. It's the best racing out there. Yeah, 9 wins ties Greg Biffle for most in a single season. Big Biff with the photo on Twitter of him holding the lobster with the Modelo in his hand. I thought that was kind of funny. And Heim, yes, Tom, Heim is 7th on the all-time wins list now in the Truck Series. And there's more to come, I feel like, right? There's still time left for Corey Heim to continue this run of dominance where there's 4 races left in that series: Charlotte, Talladega, Martinsville, and Phoenix. He could win any of these races. He is a contender in every one of these. So it'll really be interesting to see how it all kind of works out as they go to their round of 8 starts October 3rd. That'll be at Charlotte at the road course for the Roval. And they will be off next week. Would love to be a fan of NASCAR. Where do I start? What are the ways to watch? Unlike the NFL. Well, we love that you are loving that you want to become a NASCAR fan. It's to me, it's one of the most exciting spectacles on television in the sports world. My recommendation is, this is a hot time of the year, right? We're in playoff time. We're coming to the end of the year here in the beginning of November will be the championship. And for me, you've got a great slate of races coming up, especially this coming week at Kansas. 1.5 miles are what kind of the Cup Series is really all about. So if you have a favorite driver, do you think you have a favorite driver? Do you think you kind of know who you want to follow along with? Do you have a favorite manufacturer? That's where I'd start. Pick a team and kind of hitch your wagon to it, whether it's, dominant teams, not so dominant teams. It's okay, because any given Sunday you could have a new winner. That's the beauty of the Cup Series if things happen the right way, right? So short tracks, great for some drivers. Intermediate tracks, great for other drivers. Super speedways, great for anybody who can run up front. You're a Toyota guy. Okay, great. So you're kind of already starting in a good place, right? You're in the Joe Gibbs 2311 camp. Or you could just follow all the Toyota drivers. That's what I do now, as somebody who used to, a former Martin Truex Jr. fan, still a fan of his. He's just not out on the track anymore. But you just kind of support all the Toyotas. You support all the Gibbs drivers and the good storylines that come out of that manufacturer. So that's how I kind of recommend getting started. And then I think hitching your horse to one driver is tough these days, because it's you get so many new winners every year. It's not like it used to be where your guy can win week over week over week over week over week. It's, unless you're Christopher Bell and you win 3 times in a row and from February to March and then not again until September. But yeah, I would recommend that you pick drivers that you identify with their personalities and with their their style of racing. So it's once you figure that out, and if you're a Toyota fan, you'll be in good shape. Thoughts on what Denny did this weekend? I think it's less about thoughts on what Denny did and thoughts on what Ty Gibbs did. Trucks are still the coolest looking vehicles in NASCAR. I wish trucks ran at other levels. Like the Craftsman Truck Series is the national touring series for trucks, but there are like all kinds of other trucks out there that could be running at local short track levels, things like that. They are super cool. And I hope they used to run like super trucks at tracks in the Northeast. And they got to bring those back. They are really cool. Thank you. I snagged this shirt. The shirt was at a tent at Dover. It was flipped inside out. It was wet. And I don't know. I was like, oh, what is that? I just went over there and flipped it around. Lady was like, yeah, bought something. Go ahead, take that with you. Great. Sign me up. So I'm always a purveyor of fine NASCAR collectibles. And speaking of collectibles, while you're all here, we're doing a giveaway for a diecast, right? I am giving a diecast away. First time I've done a giveaway like this. You can get yourself a hold of this beautiful Martin Truex Jr. Busch Series Championship diecast from 2004. Truex won the Busch Series Championship in 04 and in 05, back-to-back years for Chance 2 Motorsports. That was a deal he was doing with Dale Jr. and Dale Sr. in the DEI days as they were developing their business and their team. Martin Truex Jr. won quite a few races in his Busch career, was really dominant through those wins. I think the one that people remember the most is the win at Nazareth, where he last lap passes for the win. Also Talladega. He won a bunch at Talladega, which in his Cup career, if you've known this man, didn't really work out so well. at super speedways for him moving forward. But the Chrome is the championship edition. So this is the only way they made them. To me, this is one of the best looking schemes that ever come out, especially the 8 when Truex Jr. ran on the 8 car. There's that feeling of being tied to DEI still, being tied to Dale. And these cars were just super cool, super fun to watch. And you have a chance to this car, this one in particular, you can have in your collection. And the way that you will be able to get it in your collection, right? You head on over to Instagram, @SlideJobSal. There's a video there. Talks all about this diecast. Talks a little bit about the history of Martin Truex and his success in the Busch Series. And you'll follow the instructions in the captions there. There's a few partners we're working with. So not only would you get the diecast, you'd also get a 3D printed stand from Benzik Designs. So you can, if this is your first diecast, you're going to have to get 2 more because they're 3-car stands, as well as a $25 like credit or gift certificate to NASCARD.Shop. So if you're into collectible cards, which is something that I am learning a lot about. I didn't know, baseball cards as a kid. Yeah, absolutely. But there's a huge world of NASCARds that you can get into and be a part of and open packs and have those things as collectibles as well. So it's a cool deal. Head on over to Instagram. I appreciate everybody who supports the giveaway. This is hopefully something we'll start to do regularly. I figured we started at New Hampshire. That was one of the tracks that Martin Truex ran really well at in his career. His family ran really well there. His dad in the Busch North Series had a ton of success at New Hampshire. So we're going to run this giveaway till September 30th. So time is of the essence. You have till next week. This time next week, I will announce the winner right here on the show. So if you're tuned in now and you're having the opportunity to enter into the giveaway, again, head over to Instagram, be a part of it, but also be back here next week, because we're going to announce the winner live and we're going to get this thing sent off to a nice new home. And it'll be really cool. Did you see the photos that were posted and then deleted last week from inside of DEI? I sure did. Somebody got in there, whether it was a tour or whatever, and snapped a bunch of photos. My chest hurt seeing those photos, though. Break Hard, I saw his video about it. He seemed to have the best kind of video presentation of those photos and of that story. We know Teresa Earnhardt doesn't really let people get in there. You can get married at DEI. Apparently, it's a venue where people rent to be married and do events to a certain capacity. But that building has just been sitting kind of empty for many, many years. I mean, I've driven past it. I pulled up to the front of it. I've taken pictures through the front window glass there, and it's this time capsule of motorsports, of racing, of NASCAR, of that family story. So really interesting to see that. I did see the Truex number 8, the Taco Bell number 8 that he won at Bristol with in there. There was the 81 was in there as well, which is really cool. So yeah, definitely interesting. Mixed feelings on seeing those photos. It hurts. It's cool to see, but it hurts that how the story goes. If you want to enter the contest, you go to Instagram @SlideJobSal. There's a video up there where you can learn a little bit about Martin Truex Jr.'s Busch Series career, as well as enter the giveaway. There's a couple accounts we ask you to follow, like the video, tag a couple of friends, and really try to expand the giveaway. So I'm going to run the giveaway from the Instagram page. I haven't posted about it on TikTok because I feel like it's not fair to do it on 3 pages and then, it's on. So it's right now, it's just on Instagram. So head over there, check it out. If you have Instagram, most of you do, I would imagine. I have a ton of NASCARs. I have a piece of Kevin Harvick's 2014 Cup car win autograph. Yeah, I learned that as well. Like they save pieces of the fabric from the fire suits, and even pieces of car go into some of those NASCARs. So part of that giveaway, again, yes, you will end up with a stand from Benzik Designs, which will hold up to 3 Cup cars or up to 3 diecasts. And then you'll also get that $25 gift card. It'll come in the form of a coupon code, and you'll be able to shop a little bit around. I have an 81 KFC car in white in the box sitting on my shelf. Ooh, can it come sit on my shelf? That's a cool piece to have. I have the 8 KFC car, the red one. But that 81 KFC car is very cool. That is a very cool piece to have. I have far too many die casts, and I feel like we go down this rabbit hole often, but I have started to collect a lot of the Busch Series diecasts from the 04-05 season from Truex and Chance 2. I have the Taco Bell one. I have the Talladega Bass Pro one. I have the KFC one. I have the championship one. I have the Wrangler throwback diecast as well. So I collect a lot of this stuff, but I have way too many things. Even you can see in the background here. We all have this problem at ATYL Media. We love to collect things. We love to collect things and spend money on racing memorabilia and racing merchandise. Is there new NASCAR playoff rules this year, or is there any new rules other than points? The playoffs format is still the same as it was this year as it was last year. The points system has remained the same. It's well, good, bad, or indifferent to the fans. It is the same as it was. So you will have your rounds of playoff racing. Stage points will count. Championship points will matter. The only thing they did change was that the fastest lap now gets a championship point. So I have the Oreo 8 too. Oh man. You guys got to send me pictures of those. That's sick. You sound like the guy that does diecast races on YouTube. I don't do diecast races on YouTube. I do some sim racing on YouTube that I announce for. I do the Slingshot Racing League Stand-Up Fight Series on Wednesday night. You can catch me in the booth there, as well as Thursday nights. I do the INRS League on the IWM Broadcast Network. I call those races alongside some colleagues. I am not the lead announcer, but I am doing some color for them this year. My first year doing more iRacing broadcasts. But I'd love to get into that world a little bit more. Try to follow in the footsteps of the great Eric Brennan. Wall Stadium zone. All right, let's look ahead, right? It's almost 9 o'clock. Let's look ahead here. Kansas. What do we think about Kansas? We feel good about Kansas. I love this track. I think it's one of the best tracks on the schedule now because of the exciting racing we get with the Gen 7 car and the way that the Arrow is. I mean, I know it's not great all the time, but it's been better here than it's been a lot of other places. So it's truly the mile and a half from heaven for the next gen car. We've seen a lot of battles here over the years between Hendrick and Joe Gibbs, Denny and Larson, most notably that big moment where, I get some loose in the wall. This is also a big opportunity for 2311. This is going to be their best chance to rebound for Tyler Reddick and for Bubba Wallace. This is going to be their best chance to rebound because the Roval is so unpredictable. We know that Tyler Reddick runs really well at the Roval, though. Won there last year. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what they bring to the table and how they want to approach it. I'm sure they both want to win and get it out of the way. But it'll be interesting to see how things shake out at Kansas this coming week. I think you're going to see a little bit of a Hendrick push this week, though, too. I think they're building on something here. They're building on something. New Hampshire hasn't always been a great track for Hendrick. If you can build momentum at a place like that into a place you are comfortable, like Kansas, I think it gives everybody a good feeling. It gives everybody a little bit of confidence moving ahead now. Okay, we're a little more comfortable at Kansas, and we just came off a place we usually run bad. We run good. So let's go out there and really push the boundary. I think you could see them. I think it's time for an HMS win to happen in these playoffs. But you now have the two other juggernaut teams in the sport in Joe Gibbs, who dominated the first round, and now you have Penske showing up. It's time. It's time for Chevy and HMS to throw their hat in the ring and show people how fast they really are. And I just want to scroll down here too. I have notes. So when you see me take a pause here, I am reading my notes. A lot of notes. Yeah, there was a lot of quotes from the race yesterday, which is something I think that I that's what these notes were about. Chris Gebhardt talking about the aero package. The Penske car is untouchable. So teams know. They're aware. The 22 talking about their success. Obviously disappointed they weren't able to capitalize on that pole position, but they got to get a little bit faster, Joey said. The 12's just a little quicker right now. So both those cars come out of the same shop. I'm sure they'll figure it out, but the 22 and the 12 seem to be in good position. Hamlin on the broadcast, when talking about the Ty Gibbs incident, he did make a comment to TV. Now, I was listening on PRN, and he had no comment for PRN. He did say, though, that he did not want to spin out a teammate. He was trying to get some space to race. Just a bad restart on his part to finish 12th. We didn't come here with our best. We got to get a little faster. So tough to know what to say in that moment. Ty Gibbs, when asked about it, said he pulled out the old Kyle Busch card and was talking about, yeah, we're really looking forward to next week. We can't wait to race next week. So I guess they're going to play it pretty close to the vest over there at Joe Gibbs as they get ready for Kansas. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how that one evolves. I'm interested to listen to Actions Detrimental this week and see if he has any further comment. I know, those guys usually can squeeze a little bit more out of them, post event, in terms of like comments and clips of him kind of chatting about what's happening on track from the previous weekend. So, talking about HMS, William Byron talks a little bit about Penske guys were in another zip code. Chase Elliott had a great day, to claw back again, started way in the back of the field in that 9 car, run himself all the way up to 5th. And Kyle Larson felt good in the first half, but lost grip in the second half. That's what he said at his account of the day. Still the best run of their playoffs so far. Kyle Larson, kind of a question mark around him, right? Kyle Larson hasn't run really as well since Indy, since trying to run the double. So it's been tough to see that happen, but a little bit of confidence maybe after this weekend for him. Okay, I'm going to go back and read the comments now. Hold on. Oh, wow, there's a lot of these. I enjoy Kansas. I think Ross will show up and be ready to win. I think so too. I think he's their mile and a half game is very strong at Trackhouse. Any Denny moment this week will be pure entertainment, especially if he runs well. It'd be interesting to see if he and the 54 get close to each other running on track this week in Kansas. See Stuart Friesen's crash in Canada back in July. Yes, Stuart Friesen was back in the garage at New Hampshire, by the way. On crutches, but in the garage after what looked like an injury that, honestly, like saying it, looking back now, how Stuart Friesen survives that kind of crash, that looked like that level of incident. That was the level that I felt like it was. And people I've talked to, everyone very happy. Stuart Friesen very blessed to not have had it be worse than it was. But just one of those crashes you look at and you just go, this is the worst case scenario. So good to see Stuart back in the garage. I'm sure he wants to go back racing. Caden Honeycutt running that truck for him right now. Caden Honeycutt running also in the Cars Tour as well. You can learn all about him and hear his thoughts on things through On Tour with Buddy Pulley on ATYL Media. I'm not a Cars Tour guy, but I will shout out the resident Cars Tour expert. But it's just a unique situation for that 52 truck and Caden coming in and filling in the rest of the year, trying to keep them in the playoffs. So Hendrick is stronger at the flat tracks, but what about Phoenix? I think Penske has the advantage at the flat tracks. What made the Penske cars so good yesterday? They run really well at these flat tracks. They have their setup set with this aero package, and they run very strong at flat tracks. You see it at Phoenix. You see it at Martinsville. They do really well. How about the run from Berry? Josh Berry looked like a man on fire. A rough first round for him. Really not great. Being able to rebound. And yesterday wasn't a picnic for him either, from the back to the front and front to the back, and then challenging for the lead late. The guy's going through it all. Every phase of emotions as, he tries to get another win this year. How long till Cindric is cut? 2 races? Cindric is cut like from the playoffs? Let's see. So Austin Cindric is 2 spots below the cut. He's 19 points below the cut line. So I don't know if you look at who's left. Ryan Blaney's locked himself into the round of 8. William Byron on points is in second. Larson third. Bell fourth. Hamlin fifth. Joey Logano in 6th. Chase Elliott in 7th. Chase Briscoe sits on the right side of the bubble with 12 plus 12 to the good in that 19 car. And Ross Chastain sits 12 points to the bad in the Trackhouse Racing number 1. So who's out? It's going to really depend. We still have some time. It depends on what happens at Kansas. Oh, you mean from Penske in general? I don't think he's going anywhere. I think his run of results has been good enough to satisfy what that 2 car is, and I don't think they're in a rush to move him out of that car. There may be some internal politics that come into play, but that would not be a reflection on his skill level and his talent this year, I think. Is he a generational driver who's going to go out and win championships? I don't think he's at that level, but I don't think there's anything wrong with him. He runs really strong. He runs good races. He puts things together really well. He's good with media. He's good on camera. He's good with sponsors. I don't think they're interested in moving on from him right now. So William Byron wins Kansas. SVG wins the Roval, and Cindric, Bubba Ross, and Briscoe are all eliminated. That would be something. I think Kansas is kind of a crapshoot. Honestly, I think it's going to be, everybody talks about the Toyotas are fast, but really depends on how they roll off the truck and how prepared they are. It was a rough day for RCR yesterday too. I hate to be that guy, but we have to talk about it. Kyle Busch got caught in some of that wreck with Keselowski and Van Gisbergen in there. Ends up finishing 30th. They will write novels about the fall of Kyle Busch. People will go back in time and see Kyle Busch's career and not believe what is happening right now. This is coming from somebody who vehemently disliked Kyle Busch. I was a Jeff Gordon fan growing up. Kyle Busch was somebody who was taking wins away from my guy. And now to see what the position they're in is at that shop, it hurts for me. He's a legacy fixture in this sport, running for a legacy team in this sport. And it's just unreal to see the fall off of what's happening. And I don't think it's a driver issue. So it's sad. The luck hasn't been great either. They've gotten caught in a lot of silliness, but you know how the best way to make your own luck is to run toward the front, because a lot of the situations they're getting caught up in are in the middle of the hornet's nest, back in the middle of the pack. And if they could run that car a little better and get that car a little more speed, they wouldn't have to worry about it. But that's common sense. I'm sure they're working on things over there. Austin Dillon finished in 13th this week. So they have something. It's just not consistent speed at RCR. Well, the tough thing with I see a comment here, he needs to get away from RCR and this and that. He did sign another year on his contract. So he'll be staying put. Will Chevy make changes to their body to kill the aero advantage that Ford and Penske has? I feel like they're due for a body update next year. That could be very well be something you see. Body update. That's something they're going to want to talk to the teams about. But if there's an advantage to be gained through the body styles for the other OEMs, you would imagine that Chevy's going to make that change. They haven't made a body change since they shifted away from the Camaro name. So now, they're not Chevy Camaros because Chevy doesn't produce the Camaro anymore. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some changes to the body next year to more closely emulate another OEM model, and at the same time make some aero changes that could be beneficial to them. Need to call Morgan & Morgan to get out of his contract. Oh man, personal injury law firm Morgan & Morgan. I do think, yes, there's a comment here too from Jason where, some of these drivers are struggling in these cars regardless. some of these old school drivers, you saw it. You saw it. They have a hard time not driving it off the right rear. This car doesn't drive off the right rear like the old days. And the Brad Keselowskis and the Kyle Bushes and the Martin Truexes and this old guard. I think Denny's really one of the. I mean, Denny's the youngest of the old guard, I think. But to see him, be so successful and the others not is kind of like, oh boy, it's tough. Do you think Kyle Busch would do better at Spire or at Kaulig? No, not really. I think if he's going to be competitive again, he was at the top with Joe Gibbs in that 18 car. And unless you're going to go back to a team with the caliber of Joe Gibbs in a program like the 18 car, I don't know what the fix is. The old Chevrolet ZL1. Is it the Corvette ZL1? Is it the Camaro ZL1? Is it the Malibu ZL1? Malibu ZL1, imagine. How about this for Hot Take Championship race? 2nd through 5th is the championship 4. Carson wins the race. That is a hot take, Ethan. Blake, thanks for the follow. Yeah, I don't know. Kyle Busch, for me, and I've said it before and I've been quoted, I don't think there is a move for Kyle Busch. I think the move for Kyle Busch is the end of his career. I think he's going to run it out at RCR. And as Brexton becomes, comes into his own, racing whatever he's doing in the Legends and in the Bandoleros and in dirt and someday in trucks and moving up through his career, I think Kyle will take a step back from racing full time and will be there to help progress his son's career as he moves forward. That is my take on that. Has anybody told Ty we're racing for a championship? I don't think he knows. Did I lay out my top 8, my next round of 8? I have not yet, but we can. Certainly can. For me, obviously Ryan Blaney is a lock for the next round. William Byron, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin. Those guys to me all advance. And then we have Logano, Elliott, and Briscoe are your 3 drivers in that order, getting closer to the cut line, right? Realistically, I can only see one of these top 8 fall out. And I have a hard time identifying which one of the 3 it will be. I think it's really the fate of the final of the round of 8 is in the hands of the 6th, 7th, and 8th place drivers in the standings right now, because I don't think Ross Chastain's going to go out there and win a race. I don't think Austin Cindric's going to go out there and win a race. And maybe one of the 2311 cars could be a spoiler, maybe at Kansas. But just as much as they can be a spoiler, those Joe Gibbs cars can run really well too at Kansas and be a force that can be dominant. But Tyler Reddick also is somebody, to me, you look at for the Roval. Those two 2311 cars could play spoiler and knock the Chase Elliott and Chase Briscoe out of the playoff if they can't get where they need to be on points. Chase Briscoe didn't have a great day yesterday. Didn't get a lot of points in this first race of this round of 12. He's on the cut line. If you can believe that. He's 12 points to the good, but he's on the cut, which after seeing him win at Darlington and seeing his run of form recently, people talk about Chase Briscoe like he's a championship contender. He is, but the way this playoff format is structured, if he doesn't run well the next 2 weeks, he could be on his way out, or he could go up to the front of Kansas and win and advance. So I think it's really hard. I think we're at a point in the season, in the playoff picture as well, that these are the guys who are the best of the best. And Hendrick is coming back to life at the right time. Penske is coming to life at the right time. I mean, I think some people were looking to see Joey Logano step out in the first round, and that hasn't been the case. He's had a lot of good speed. That car has gotten better and better and better, especially at New Hampshire, especially when they go to Martinsville. It'll be good. So for me, I think it's tough. Whatever I tell you now that my final eight's going to be, or could change by lap 2 of Sunday at Kansas. So, I would say it sits the way it is now. And the only outliers are if Reddick or Bubba win in Hail Mary fashion. That is my take on that. So GM needs to drop Chevy and add Cadillac. Cadillac Cup car would be wild. Cadillac Cup car would be wild. If I was Ty Gibbs, I would definitely send Hamlin next race. I don't think he's going to get close enough to send him. At least if I'm Denny Hamlin, I'm making sure he's not getting close enough to me. I'm using all the leverage I have in the world to make sure he ain't getting close enough to me. In my opinion, it's a failure for GM to not have a car name to run in NASCAR. That's an OEM thing. I don't know. I would imagine that this is a transitional period for Chevy as they're looking to fill that name. And we don't really dive into the OEM conversation stuff a ton because I don't know enough about it to really give you good information. But you see Ford is really making a really renewed effort to step up. Ford Racing is back, ladies and gentlemen. Ford Racing is back, rebranded. Ford Performance has been around for a long time. That was kind of the modern iteration of Ford Racing, but now they're moving forward, but moving back with that rebrand back to what were known for. They're putting, keystone business units like the Bronco, like the Mustang. They're letting those businesses stand on their own at Ford. And I think that's the smart way to do it. They're very smart people. And I think other brands are going to do the same thing where, Dodge Stellantis is back. Ram is back. They're reopening the SRT division at Dodge and at Ram. So there's performance. The market is showing the OEMs that they want performance. They want racing. They want this. They like this. Please give us more of this. Chevy has always had a strong racing, team and a racing pedigree, but it's just something where it feels like they just need to get a little more organized on this side. You got to think too, GM is very busy right now. Cup racing might not be the thing that they're most worried about because they are getting into the business of F1. They announced that Jim Beam would be their spirits partner and they're selling sponsorships for the F1 team for next year to get on the grid. That's a big step for Cadillac GM to get into that world. And Chevrolet being under that umbrella, maybe it's not as high a priority right now with this other stuff that they're doing through the same kind of channels through racing. But I think you will see some changes in the off season. And I think a lot of things, we haven't had a busy, silly season. I felt like last year I was able to make a short form video every single day of the week to update people on NASCAR news. And that's how predominant some of the news was in the silly season was. And now this year, it's definitely been significantly less. There hasn't been as much moving. There hasn't been as much happening, but also too, we're in a different place, right? It's Stewart Haas Racing shut down last year, and that created a whole firestorm on its own of silly headlines and rumors, right? And then there was conversations around who was going to take truck rides and Connor Zilich and Corey Heim. And I think you'll get that as well. Somebody earlier asked about Corey Heim and if Toyota could hold on to him or if somebody was going to try to poach him. And that leads me into this next little tidbit of news off the track is that Rick Ware and Legacy have settled their dispute in court, and Rick Ware will sell a charter to Legacy Motor Club. Right now, that charter is being leased to RFK in the 60 car. So that charter will go away and be in the Toyota camp next year for Legacy. Now, they'll have to fill that seat. And this is a wonderful opportunity for Legacy to step in and get a nice, talented, young driver from the Toyota development pipeline. Obviously, 2311 wants Corey Heim to sit in that 35 car. I think that's their plan for Corey Heim. I think he's going to just make the jump up. Maybe he does some Xfinity racing, but I think that car's earmarked for him. Legacy now has the opportunity to do something and put a high caliber driver in that car if they can make it more appealing for him to be a part of the legacy identity with John Hunter and with Eric Jones. Now, those cars, they didn't have a great run this week in New Hampshire, but over the last 10 weeks, 8 weeks, Legacy has stepped it up in a big way. I think Eric Jones is the most underrated driver on the grid every week recently. And John Hunter's right there with him. Those are two extraordinary wheelmen behind the wheel of those cars at Legacy, and they're overdriving it. They're outdriving their equipment. But the Legacy's taking leaps and bounds forward. So when you see them talking about buying new charters and getting involved more in the sport, there's a new pathway happening for Toyota drivers. They don't just have to go to Joe Gibbs. They don't just have to go to 2311. There's new places for those Toyota drivers to make a home. We will get extra silly season when the lawsuit is over. It will be silly season overload when the lawsuit is over. It will be silly season overload. I promise you. Crew Chief Aaron checking in. We're not. Yeah, I need a crew chief in life, racing and in life. Legacy is fastly becoming a top tier team. I agree. I think Legacy, there's something to be said about the way that they approached their entire development. And I know people really ragged on them the first couple of years, right? They were a Chevy team. Jimmy Johnson's there. Makes sense. They didn't get the support they needed from Chevy. They make the switch to Toyota. Now they're starting at square one. Yes, Legacy was presented with an opportunity to align themselves with Joe Gibbs Racing and become a title contender right out of the gate. That is what 2311 did. That is why 2311 cars run as well as they do, as early in their existence as a team as they do. 2311 opted for the road less traveled, and it may be one that makes all the difference, where they're going to develop their cars in-house with smaller tech alliances, but they'll have more ownership over their own data and more ownership over their own information than they would if they had aligned with Joe Gibbs or someone else in the Toyota world. So I think it was a long play, and it's still a long play, and you're getting there. You're getting into what Legacy wants to be through getting this next charter, to developing into that 3-car team. Baby steps. It was crawl. Now we're at walk. Soon it'll be run for Legacy. And I think once Legacy gets on a run, the drivers they have in those cars, Eric Jones, very, very capable of winning races. We've seen it throughout his career. John Hunter Nemechek, one of these drivers that I personally have a tremendous level of respect for, takes himself down to the truck series to get back into racing, to get back competitive, to be the driver he knows he can be, to leverage himself to get up back into the Cup series. So even John Hunter Nemechek's time in the Xfinity series, the guy won a lot of races. So it's just a matter of getting all the pieces together at the right time. If Heim goes to Legacy and fully commits to Toyota and not 2311 alone, he'd become the heir apparent to the Joe Gibbs Racing number 11. Dom Joseph, ladies and gentlemen, always coming in here with the insightful drops, the nuggets of info. I could not agree more, Dom. I think he sets himself up for a long career moving forward with Toyota in that position. What's better for him? Is it better for him to go to 2311, or is it better for him to go to Legacy? I really think that depends on what Corey Heim wants. So it'll be interesting to see how that all shapes up. But I'm very high on Legacy moving ahead the end of this year, obviously, already looking forward to next year for them and what they'll be able to do. I don't blame them for jumping to Toyota. I don't think Chevy was giving them the support maybe that they had insinuated they would give them. I don't know how that works. Chevy gives a lot of support to a lot of people, so maybe it was just a case where things were stretched too thin. I'm not a Toyota fan at all, but I root for Legacy. I think it's the underdog mentality, because they're not such underdogs that they don't have the ability to go out there and be competitive, but they're not dominant enough, consistently enough where it's like, Legacy, they're a shoo-in this week. So I think there's a lot of good storylines around them. They're great people over there, not just the drivers, not just the teams, but the people who put things together behind the scenes over there. They're really trying to do something different and unique. And obviously Jimmy Johnson being a part of that is special. And Jimmy Johnson back in the United States. For a while, he had been living out of the country. He's back now, more hands-on with the team than he's ever been. And you see the result, the Jimmy Johnson effect. I mean, who would think that a champion of his caliber, would affect the way that team runs, with his hands wrapped around it. So it's a good thing for them. It's a good thing for Legacy. And I'm excited to see all the success moving forward that they'll have, because I think it's very real. It's very real. It's going to happen. Riley Herbst, though, I don't know what happens to him. I think he goes back to Xfinity. I think Butterbean's also eyeing up a full-time ride in Xfinity with Colleague. I keep seeing this clip of the 54. He looks like he's drunk in turns 3 and 4. He looks like a drunk driver, just all over the place, blocking the 11 and the 20. And you hear the audio from Denny in the car. Like, does he know we're running for a championship? And then you hear Ty Gibbs under caution says, game on. Like, he wasn't wrong. It's crazy. Jimmy was in England. Jimmy was in England from what I understood. I think there were some business opportunities over there that took him there for a period of time. I don't think it was anything where it was like, I'm going to move to England. Chip, chip. I'm sure there has to be some level of personal interest to relocate your family to another country, but he is back hands-on in the U.S. doing things. Wow. I just am looking up now. 25 new followers on the Slide Job side of the stream today. I appreciate you all for being here. 79 viewers. I think we were at like 111 for a short period. If you like what you've seen today, here today as part of the stream, I encourage you all, ATYL Media, they've given us a tremendous opportunity to be a part of their platform this year. And we love the work we do there. Doing short form content, doing the Splash and Dash morning show, giving you news each and every week post race on Monday mornings, and right here on TikTok as well. So if you like what you see, I encourage you to follow along. That's something that building the community is always something that I put a focus on. It's not just about Sal, even though my big fat head is the one that you see in the videos. It's really about all of you in the racing community and giving you all a place to kind of come in here and have your opinions heard and chop it up. So I appreciate all of your support and the support that you give to ATYL Media. And to give back, if you weren't here earlier, we are giving away a Martin Truex Jr. 2004 Busch Series diecast, championship diecast, by the way. There's a giveaway going on right now on the Instagram page. So if you go over to the Instagram page at SlideJobSal, you can also find it on ATYL Media's page, Benzik Designs page, and NASCARD.Shop. And the reason you can find it on those pages is because you won't just win this very handsome, good-looking championship, Busch Series championship car. You'll also win a 3-car stand from Benzik Designs, as well as a $25 gift certificate to NASCARD.Shop. So if you're in the collectibles game, whether it's cards or diecast or ways to display your diecasts, this is a one-stop shop giveaway, truly, to get yourself, whether you're just getting started collecting in NASCAR or you're a seasoned collector who wants to add one more little piece to the shelf, this giveaway sets you up to do that in a tremendous way. So we want to give back. We figured New Hampshire was the right time to do it, especially for a Truex diecast. We're big Truex fans over here. So unfortunately for all of you, I got to pick the diecast to give away because I am collecting the diecasts right now for myself. So this was one that we had that was kind of on the list, and we ended up getting a deal on getting a couple of them. And no better way to spread the love than to give back to the community. So I appreciate everyone for being here and being a part of it. You can find that giveaway on the Instagram page. And again, feel free, follow along. Never a requirement, but always appreciated. If you like what you see, follow along. We love to have the community interaction that we have here. It's what makes this fun to do. When will you announce you're one of the Colleague Ram drivers? If colleagues ever saw me run a C-Fix truck race, they would stay as far away from me as possible. The Colleague Ram stuff, though, is really interesting. There was a leaked graphic that kind of came out. And was discussed a little bit. Because the drivers in that Colleague Ram leak were so obviously, it looked fake. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see if we can find an article. I know it was in this. It was in the chat for the ATYL chat, and I just don't know if I'm going to be able to scroll back far enough. I'm going to have to. It was like Haley Deegan, Frankie Muniz, Matt Crafton. It was like the infinity stones of like TV favorite drivers. And I don't know. It's kind of crazy, right? Kind of crazy. Let's see if I can find it here. I bet Denny got a text from Seabell saying, "I'm glad you done it. I was mad I couldn't." I don't think it would have lasted long for. Oh yes, Cletus and Tony B were the other two. That is right. Look at us. Look at us remembering things. Thank you. Thank you very much, Blake. Yeah. So, do we live in a world where Colleague is going to sign Frankie Muniz, Haley Deegan, Matt Crafton, Cletus McFarland, and Tony Breidinger? 5 drivers to a truck team. That is to me like the Bravo TV cast of a truck series show. You know, that's what it feels like. You got Tony Breidinger, the Victoria's Secret model turned racer, Haley Deegan, the Supercross family royalty, running in the Indy Next series, has run in Xfinity, has run in trucks in the past. You've got Cletus, who's got a social media following that is bigger and larger than most businesses and brands as an individual. And Matt Crafton, the veteran who would hold it down and be that leader, veteran leader. And then Frankie Muniz, who doesn't love a little Malcolm in their lives. That lineup has to be fake, right? I'm talking about it because it's fun to talk about, but there's no way it's real. And in some of the leaked images we saw, it was like I don't think I have the photo of it because a lot of those posts were deleted. But it was like a photograph on an iPhone photo of a computer screen of like a Windows file folder with those image thumbnails. And it seems really strange that would be the way it leaks. Chris is making a great point too here in the TikTok chat. Frankie Muniz, just him alone, right? He has such a strong relationship with Ford. I would be stunned if there was ever a world where he moved from Ford to Dodge or to any other OE, because he's doing other things outside of just his truck racing career. And I know for a fact that Frankie is working to make that truck team ever more competitive through his relationship with the OE and trying to do things in sport car, trying to do things. He's doing some off-road racing, I think, too. There was some Bronco stuff he was doing. He's now one of these Ford ambassadors alongside of Daniel Ricciardo and a few other folks. So to me, it seems a little fishy, right? But it does bring up a good conversation, though, around who will be the Colleague Ram drivers. Who wants a shot in the trucks? Will they approach this in the way that kind of Junior Motorsports approaches their Xfinity program, where, sure, okay, you got 5 trucks, right? 2 of them need to make money. 2 or 3 of them need to make money to keep the program going. And can you then have 2 or 3 trucks that are kind of rotating rides, where you can have folks who are young, talented drivers at grassroots levels come in and prove their worth? That to me is the way it should be. If there are teams who have opportunities to give drivers who are not trust fund kids, but have talent, a chance to showcase that, it's a business. It's a business, right? But it's also an entertainment enterprise. And when the best drivers from around the country are able to level up and compete, I think people appreciate that and want to see that as part of the sport. So I think there's a lot of unique opportunities for Ram and for Colleague to do something like that. The Butterbeans of the world, the Caden Honeycutts of the world, the young drivers, the Connor Halls of the world, in the Cars Tour. There's a rumor going around too that Connor Hall's looking for a ride next year in the Xfinity Series full time. That's a Junior Motorsports guy, If Junior buys any more Xfinity cards, he's going to own half the field soon. So, but what Junior Motorsports does at that level gives them the results that they have. Obviously, they have a great alliance with Hendrick, and they're able to kind of be that outlet for Hendrick Motorsports to have, you know, a pipeline and give that support to them. But Hendrick's running their own Xfinity car, that 17 car. You know, Corey Day is somebody they feel is a good choice moving forward for Hendrick. But I just think there's so much opportunity right now. So much opportunity right now to have young up and coming drivers be in a national touring series, even if it's not a full-time deal, even if it's a short period of season. Give people someone who's one of them. That's why Josh Berry is so widely supported. Whether you're a real hardcore fan of Josh Berry or you're or you're just a casual observer who's cheering him on, and you have another driver that you really like, I don't think there's anybody out there in the fan base who is going to sit there with a straight face and be like, I really don't like Josh Berry. And that's because Josh Berry is one of us. He's one of the regular folks. You know, he was a bank teller turned NASCAR Cup Series driver. So it's hard to look at him overall and feel like, you know, you're not going to at least support him at some level. Jay Burt, I have a legit question. Ask your legit question. Josh Berry wrecked us in late models. Not the biggest fan of him. Well, that's a unique situation if you are personally affected by the actions of a driver. As a fan base, a broader fan base is the perspective that I am kind of keeping in this situation. I think Berry will end up in the 2 car in the next couple of seasons. Could be. He has the talent. I don't think there's any shadow of a doubt that the talent is there. It's just the consistency of the speed. You know, I think that's going to be the thing for those teams. Barry reminds me of the OGs. He does. He's got that vibe. I like that the story to me, you know, and he talked about it a little bit on MRN a little bit this week, or on 12 Questions. He talked about it on 12 Questions with Jeff Gluck, which is a great program. If you haven't listened to it, it gives you a little deeper insight into what is happening kind of behind the scenes with these drivers. But one of the questions they asked Josh Berry was like, what is something that people like believe about you that isn't true? And I think he said, you know, people think I'm just happy to be here because of my story, but I want to win because I'm here. Like, you know, the story isn't how I got here. The story is that I'm here and I'm ready to win and be competitive. And I love that attitude too. So I hope he gets all the opportunities to continue to advance himself and be a premier driver in this series. How did Joey Logano gain 50 plus points? Do you get playoff points for leading laps? I know he won stage 2. I mean, he's going to get playoff points for his position. Hold on. We're going to pull up the results list so I can have a better idea. Where was he here? All right. So at the end of the first stage at New Hampshire, nope, this is Bristol. Sorry. Hold on. We're going to make sure we get it right. Sorry. So he finished second in the first stage, which gives him 9 stage points. He won stage 2, which gives him another 10 stage points. So that's 19. That's 19 right off the rip. And then he finished in 4th. I'm no mathematician, but that adds up. Dom Joseph, the resident Joey Logano defender, is in the YouTube chat, and he has also agreed, we are in agreement, that the stage points is what gave him that bump. So if you're getting almost 20 stage points, and then you're getting your race points at the end of the race too for your finish, there it is. Can I sit here and add up like exactly how he got every point? I don't know. The point system in this sport is overcomplicated, bloated, and confusing. And I don't think that's a hot take, but people smarter than me, like Dom, say stage points is the answer. What do we think of Carson Hocevar? I think Carson Hocevar had a great day at New Hampshire. He is outdriving that equipment that he's in over there at Spire Motorsports. He's also my guy on social media. I mean, Buddy was hanging out with Whistling Diesel. He's hanging out with I Show Speed. Dude is legit. Big fan of the 77. I love the attitude. I know people are a little off put by that. Some people are a little off put by him. They no longer pay points for leading laps or the most laps. They do get a point though for the fastest lap, right, Tom? I believe that's a new-ish thing. I believe Carson Hocevar was the recipient of that this past week at New Hampshire. Why do you think Butterbean hasn't gotten a ride in the Xfinity Series? He's running in the colleague car part-time right now. I think that deal kind of came together mid-season, but I think they just wanted to see how legit he was. You know, he come out of late models and goes up to ARCA, and he's beating the brakes off of him in ARCA. He won again this past weekend. He beat LeVar Scott out. LeVar Scott had a great run too in the ARCA series. It would have fed generations if he won that. So, you know, but good competition between those guys in the ARCA series. Xfinity fastest lap. Yes. Dom has confirmed. Xfinity fastest lap. You get some points for that as well. Coffee's just not hitting as hard as it usually does. You know, 4 shots of espresso to start the day. Is that crazy? Am I crazy? I feel like I'm crazy. But yeah, the point system is a little confusing for normal people. We had somebody in the chat earlier. I want to become a fan of NASCAR. I'm just starting out. Don't think about the points. Just find some drivers you like. Hope that they run well week to week, and learn as you go. That's kind of the advice you give people. Isn't it only 1 playoff point for a stage win and 5? No. It's 10 playoff points for winning a stage. 9. He got another 9 for finishing second in the second stage, and then he'll end up with race points and playoff points again after the win. So, Butterbean is a future star for sure. I'd love to see him do some things on the Xfinity side with Junior Motorsports. And again, like, that's the pipeline, right? Like, they're the late model guys. They all seem to kind of come up through Junior, but there's more of them now. And I think it's a real testament to what's happening in the Cars Tour, where the Cars Tour is becoming a better development series than ARCA, to me. Now, those guys spend a lot of money to go out there and race in that Cars Tour, but the level of competition is so much higher than what we see in ARCA, because the disparity in the competitiveness of those teams in ARCA has become so wide. The gap is just to bridge that gap from the worst car in ARCA to the best car in ARCA. It's crazy how that series kind of unfolds. And our friend on TikTok, Chris Golden, we did an episode of the Hot Lap Yap with him, which is a kind of a shoot off of like what we do here on the morning show. We do some interviews from time to time and talk to drivers and talk to people in the community, a little longer form. And I've seen some posts from Chris Golden over the last couple of days, and I feel like he and I are connected in how we would handle this, like, right? So Chris is looking to drive for club racing. He's been driving for club racing in the ARCA series, and we talked to Chris, and he's looking to put together something to make himself competitive next year. And he outlines in these very long kind of Facebook posts that it's a money game. And it's so hard for small teams that just want to go out there and race, on a Saturday night like everybody else, to stay and be competitive and really feel good about their chance. And, you know, they're crowdfunding to do this. And it's not easy to do this. And I think that's why you see a lot of jumping up from late models. 1 playoff point for stage win, 5 for a win. If you look up NASCAR playoff points, I can literally send you a link. Stage win is 1 point and 10. Oh, right. Okay. So I'm mixing it up. You're right. So 10 points, season points, 1 playoff point. New runner. I honestly still don't understand how the point system works. I'll sit here and be very honest with you. I really don't. It's not something that I can look at and with confidence tell you, yeah, you got all these points. I don't know, because it doesn't make sense to me. Went to South Boston a couple weeks ago. Great Cars Tour race. Yeah, Cars Tour has been running great. I've been casually observing from afar. It's been a lot of fun to kind of keep up with the storylines, at the very least. The carnage that ensued. I know Tristan McKee got himself spun around. There's some drama in that series. So They remind me, like I said earlier in the show, they remind me a tremendous amount of the modifieds. He got 33 points for finishing fourth. Okay, Craig's got the answer. Can we get some dubs in the chat for Craig right now doing the math? Get some hot dogs for him. Craig, free Costco hot dog on me today, Craig. I'll Venmo you $1.50. He got 33 points for finishing fourth, then 10 for the stage win, and 9 for second, 52 total points. Not just playoff points, total points. So big dubs for Craig. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for doing the math and breaking that down for me, because I took algebra 4 times in high school, not because I wanted to. It's not for me. Numbers, words. I like yap. Brain to mouth to microphone. That's my pipeline. Numbers, algebraic equations, Pythagorean's theorem, not for me. I love Dom dropping the hot dogs into YouTube. Give it to me all day long. We talked a lot about hot dogs last week. I haven't eaten a hot dog since then. You know, I've had to resist the urge. I don't know how strong my willpower is, though. I need to know what everybody likes on their hot dogs, though. I need to know what is the condiment of choice, or condiments of choice, plural, for your hot dog. Tell me in the chat, please. Please. I have a dog system that if the ingredients are available to me, it is the king of the hill of hot dogs, in my opinion, the way that I like hot dogs. And then I have like runner-up condiment hot dogs. Even the way I make my hot dogs, I think you should boil hot dogs. I think you should boil them. And then if you want to char, you throw them on the grill, very hot grill, almost like a sear, like you're searing a steak. Give them that little sear. The boil, something about the boil, I don't know. Okay, ketchup and mustard and chili slaw. Okay. Chili and onions. Sauerkraut and mustard, chili and onions. Got to be burnt. No, we don't want to burn our dogs. We don't want that. We don't want that. If you like that, that's good. But I don't like it. I can't do a burnt dog. Now for me, okay, we got a chili and cheese. I like a blistered dog. Where a split, where the split happens, right? Chili and cheese got to be all beef dogs. Ooh. Now I'm a big soubrette man. You know, I've hitched my wagon to the soubrette horse. I like a Hebrew National once in a while. I like a Hebrew National, but I'm a big soubrette man. This is when the accent comes out, Dom. This is it. The Jersey in me comes out when we start talking about hot dogs. Hot dogs. I like, you go to the store and you get the soubrette onions in the jar, right? The marinated onions there. That with brown deli mustard on a hot dog. Now, if that hot dog's, the skin of that dog's got a little snap to it, that's why I like the boiler. The boiler is everything to me. If you get that combo, that snappy skin on the dog with the marinated onion, the soubrette marinated onion, and the brown mustard, to me, that is the Mount Rushmore of hot dogs. The top. The George Washington of hot dogs. That one is. I love a good ketchup and mustard dog. A little mix on each side. Yellow mustard, beautiful ketchup, wonderful. Now, I also make this mustard. I make mustard at home. That it's like pickles. It's mustard, pickles, dill, vinegar, salt, pepper, and a little bit of turmeric, if you can believe it. You let that sit and for like a week or two. That mustard combo on a dog with the pickle, because it's almost like pickled relish, almost, but it's more full-bodied. You put that on a dog, change your life. That's a Matty Matheson. It's a Matty Matheson recipe. You can find that in one of his cookbooks or online. For those of you who don't know who Matty Matheson is, if you look at Sal and then you look at Matty Matheson, you'll understand why my love for Matty Matheson, where I get some of my love for the hot dog at this level. My toilet is howling at this conversation. Toilets everywhere are in danger. if they hear us talking. They hear us talking dirty like this. Yeah, the turmeric's a sneaky one, right? You don't think turmeric, what is that? That's health food. But it does. It adds a little bit more color to the mustard when you're making your own mustard. And then it also it's got like a unique flavor to it. But you don't want a ton of it. You just want a little bit of it. But yeah, I did that last year for the Super Bowl. I made that mustard and we dipped it in like the mini little pigs in a blanket. Talk to me about pigs in a blanket too. Whoever invented that, Nobel Peace Prize. How many good times, how many families have been brought together by the mini hot dog? How many families brought together by pigs in a blanket on a Sunday afternoon? Did you go to New Hampshire? I did not go to New Hampshire, no. New Hampshire's about a 6-hour drive for me up and back. So, not my jam. Met Christopher Bell. We sat in the Ream Suites. Taylor, that's awesome. That is really awesome. I've never been in a suite at a track. That's fancy. Been in the pit, been in the pit box, but in the suite. Ooh, I bet they had some good hot dogs in the suite. Would like to have a good snack and soda and sit back and watch that comp meeting at JGR today. The fun you could do, Denny could be the funniest guy in the world and just bring a bucket of popcorn. Or Taylor or Christopher Bell could, or Chase Briscoe could. That would be the real move. Is if one of those guys comes in with a bucket of popcorn just to sit there in the comp meeting and watch. I just don't think you're going to get through to him. I just don't. I think you could say whatever you want. I just don't think it's going to make a difference to me. I hope it does. Just so he stops ruining the chances of the other competitors on that team. You know, if Ty Gibbs wants to run like that, and he takes a championship opportunity away from another Joe Gibbs racing driver, wouldn't coach be upset about that? What, you know, you're taking away an opportunity for the team as a whole. It's not all about Ty Gibbs, and someone who is in a position the way Ty Gibbs is in a position. Ty Gibbs could run that team someday. He could take that team over from his grandfather. The priority has to be about the team and the health of the team and the success of the team, not just about his own success. So I don't know if he thinks that way. Maybe he does. Maybe it's just one of those things that happens in the car in the moment. Not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying it's a bad situation right now. So we had a lot better than hot dogs and hamburgers. It was very nice. Denny crushing it and Tyler happened right near us. We were like, bruh, like the sound. Yeah, I mean, it was only natural. It's only natural to have that happen the way that they were running. Have seen it up close must have been pretty nuts, because I'm sure that place went. I'm sure that the stands were reacting to it as it happened in real time. It was just funny to me too that like Denny wasn't going to talk about it to the media on pit road. So I'm sure the radio stuff was enough to let you know how everybody was feeling. Broken families have reconciled over pigs in a blanket. As a New York Giants football fan, the best part of my Sunday is the pig in a blanket. There's nothing I enjoy better than football Sunday than the food, because the football sucks for me. There's also a rumor floating around too, little off-track news, that the NFL is looking to extend their season, and it would directly coincide with the Daytona 500. So that's something that's on our radar right now. Also, could NASCAR compete with the NFL on President's Day weekend? I don't know. Try being a Bengals fan. I'll pray for you, brother. We're in the same boat. We're in the same kind of situation. I've been to this track many times before, many years ago, but it was better this time around. Okay. What was it better in terms of like your overall experience, or was it better in terms of like the racing in general? You know what I mean? Toboro. That poor guy can't catch a break, man. Let me tell you. Y'all ain't getting Winston from us, though. I'll die. I'll die before we let Jameis go to Cincinnati. I couldn't believe the look on Joe Gibbs' face when it happened. Oh, I'm sure and I feel bad for Coach a little bit. That's what an uncomfortable position to have to be put in by your own grandchild. You know, that's not right. That doesn't feel good. That means nothing. Daytona will adjust to the NFL. It's happened many times. I just hope it doesn't ruin like the schedule for NASCAR moving forward, because they're not going to be able to compete with whatever late season competition is happening at that time. If they add more games, you could realistically be competing with Super Bowl Sunday on President's Day weekend for the NFL and for NASCAR. I think the racing was better. It was more action-packed. When I used to go, it was just kind of a snoozer. Okay. All right. And, you know, New Hampshire's not a race that I have circled on my calendar that I'm like, hey, can't wait to sit down and watch racing at New Hampshire. I know there was a tremendous amount of passing throughout the field during the day, maybe not at the lead, but I know there was a lot of action in the middle of the back of the pack. They were running 3 or 4 wide in some situations, especially on the restarts. You know, the things that I saw, it was very competitive throughout the day. So I think it was one of the better races, you know, in general, but in this next gen era of New Hampshire, they were free tickets, hard to pass up. You ever got any more of those free tickets? You send them over Sal's way too, you know. No, that's really cool. You get the chance to get to the track. I'd like to go to. I wish I could have gone to one more this year, but I don't think I'm getting there. I don't think I'm gonna make it happen. I wanted to do the Roval, but I don't want to drive 9 hours to Charlotte, and I don't know. I don't know. In a position where I'm saving for a wedding and trying to buy a house and live in the state of New Jersey all at the same time. So it's a little financially restricting at the moment. Also real busy for Sal this time of year. We're getting ready for SEMA show. So we'll be busy getting ready for that as well. Our favorite was the Chicago street race. I've heard wonderful things about the Chicago street race. NASCAR John has been out to that race, as well as Buddy Pulley, ATYL Media's own. That's the hat. This show is simulcast for those of you over on TikTok. This show is simulcast on this account, really, because this is a show that happens on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter /X on ATYL Media channels. ATYL Media is motorsports media your way. It is a group of creators captained by the one and only Taylor Kitchen, leading us content creators into a bigger, brighter, better future for NASCAR and motorsports. But you can find all different kinds of content on the ATYL Media YouTube channel. There's shows that go from Cars Tour to NASCAR to F1 to IndyCar. There's all kinds of things you can engage with and be a part of and get caught up to speed with through ATYL Media. So that's part of what this wonderful Sway hat is all about. Shouts to Sway for their hats, super comfortable. My favorite is Martinsville. I've never been to Martinsville. Heard they have a good hot dog down there though. I'd love to see NASCAR to the Vegas street circuit like F1 does. It would be cool. I think logistically, it would be cool, but logistically, they'll never be able to bring the money to the city to do what F1 does in terms of shutting down the road, repaving the road, and all the things that F1 does. I am really excited about NASCAR to San Diego. Wish I could have gone to that race. I'll be busy that weekend, getting married that weekend. So not really in the cards. I don't think she was too fired up about me joking about rescheduling the wedding so we could go. I called her and I recorded it. I thought I was going to use it for content. And then she used too many profanities for me to use that clip. But I am excited to see them do some different street racing. I think Coronado Island will be a really cool venue for them to do that. All right, let's see. Is there anything else we want to run through? Las Vegas Motor Speedway is too good a track to walk away from. I agree. Dom makes a good point. You know, are you going to put a street course in Vegas when you have Las Vegas Motor Speedway right there? And that track does put on some fun racing. That is always a place where tempers, you talk about tempers flaring. I mean, I remember the Larson and Bubba Wallace stuff a couple years back. Like, there's some good competitive racing. That's also the place too. I use this example all the time and I sound like a broken record, but that's the place where I saw John Hunter Nemechek come to life as a ultra competitive driver in the Xfinity Series. That one race running for JGR where he passed the whole field in the matter of 2 laps. It was unbelievable. Right on the top. That track is really cool at Vegas. I'm interested to see how that playoff. So next year there'll be new tracks rotating into the playoffs, and it seems like there'll be some other changes to the playoffs next year also. We talked about this a little bit last week. Jordan Bianchi kind of leaking some conversations that are happening behind closed doors, maybe about playoff changes moving ahead, where the championship round could be more than one race. It could be 3 races or 4 races to decide a champion. So Las Vegas, Homestead, those types of tracks could be in the mix for that change. We know, hold on, let's see. We have the 2025 NASCAR schedule, or the 2026 NASCAR schedule, I should say. You know, if you look at this 2026 season schedule, you have Las Vegas, Charlotte, Phoenix, and Talladega, and then Martinsville and Homestead in November. You got some interesting tracks, right? So you figure Darlington is usually, or Daytona is usually the cut race. Then you've got Darlington, Worldwide Technology, Bristol, Kansas. So a little bit of a change there, a little bit of a schedule change there. And then Las Vegas enters the picture with the Roval. Phoenix shuffles back. Talladega is a cut race. Well, I guess you don't know if it's a cut race. I'm sorry. It's just at the end of October. Talladega is also there. And then Martinsville and Homestead are the last 2 races of the season. How do you feel about Homestead being a championship race? It should be where the championship race lives. I do think a rotating championship track makes sense. But people are like, I see people in the comments on social media, and they're like, well, NASCAR should rotate the championship every year because that's what the NFL does. They rotate stadiums every year. Well, the field is still the same size no matter where they play the game in the NFL. You move the venue in NASCAR, everything changes. It's totally different. So, there is an interesting conversation around that in changing up the racing and the racing types as a championship weekend year over year. I think that's why, for me, there's a lot of conversation last week over some comments that Jeff Burton had on DBC. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Now, he says, oh, the TV doesn't make it happen. And of course, the TV guy is going to sit there and gaslight you and tell you the TV doesn't have an influence on how the schedule is created, on how the playoff format's created. But the TV guy making the TV money, who works for TV, defending TV, I'm sorry, I can't sit here in good conscience and believe every word that comes out of your mouth that TV doesn't hold a very strong influence. Maybe they're not making those decisions in perpetuity, but I have a hard time believing they don't carry a lot of influence as these decisions are being made amongst, panels of drivers and panels of people from NASCAR and all these different groups who come in and help make this decision. So that's my 2 cents on that. I've seen a lot of people go back and forth online about that over the last week or so. And I'm not drinking the NASCAR Kool-Aid. You're not forcing it down my throat. I'm still going to listen to Mark Martin because that's my boy. That's my man. Gucci Mane's man. I'm going to listen to the people like Denny Hamlin who are talking about, what they think is best for the sport. I'm going to listen to people like Freddie Kraft, who I have a tremendous amount. He's a silly guy, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for him and what he's done in his racing career as a spotter and as a crew member and throughout his time in the sport. So it's just, I think I wanted to make a video about this week, and I didn't know how to put the words together. But I think when we talk about playoffs and we talk about the format, it doesn't matter who decides, right? But I think the playoff format we have now would have been better suited in the past, right? So back in the past, when the cars were so different, you had field fillers, you had start and park guys. A playoff format would have made the competition closer. There would have been no runaway champions where, you knew going into the year that Jimmy Johnson was going to probably win the championship, right? Because he had the best stuff for the best team and the best day and the best driver and the whole thing. If you would have had a playoff format back then, you talk about entertainment product, I feel like it would have been even more entertaining to have a playoff format then. And I feel like now the 36 race format is better suited for this type of racing in this car because the cars are all so similar. To me, that's the way it makes sense to me, a little bit more sense. You know, if ARCA had a playoff format, because the cars have such disparity between the competitors, if you had a bracket style playoff format, that resets the table. If you want entertainment alone, that's the way to do it for cars that aren't as competitive with one another as like the Gen 7 cars are. You can throw a blanket over some of those cars some days. They run around, they can't pass, they run around, they're all kind of the same. So it's like, that's the way it kind of makes sense to me. I don't know. It doesn't have to be a 36 race playoff format, like, a 36 race points thing. There's something in the middle that I'm sure will happen someday, but it's just, I think if you flip-flopped it, it would have been better. If you could take this playoff format to the past and take the past playoff format and bring it to now, I think you'd be even better racing, better competition. Let's get rid of stages. People keep talking about that. They're never going to get rid of stages. They're talking about adding stages at super speedways. That's a rumor that's floating around. If Dale Jr. is talking about it on the Dale Jr. download about how opposed he is to it, that means someone is talking about it to recommend it. Well, I'm against it. Well, you can't be against something that isn't being spoken of. So someone somewhere is talking about a fourth stage at super speedways. I think stages are really cool because it rewards drivers throughout the race. Now, stage cautions are another topic all on their own. What would it be like if you didn't have stage cautions? I don't know. I didn't watch during the 90s. I watched during the early 2000s. I mean, I wasn't coherent enough as a 90s child to pay attention beyond car go left on screen. Well, that's the thing too with the stages, right? Essentially what you're getting in stage racing is you're getting 3 races in one. That's what it is. Essentially. You're getting a race winner at the end of the overall event, but you're getting stage winners that are essentially mini little race winners, and they're getting points for it. They're getting stage points for it. I think the fans are happy with the stages at the point now that we're in. I'm not, that's not at the top of my list. I think there's bigger fish to fry. Would be interesting to see maybe some cautionless stages at road courses. But again, you'd end up with a Shane Van Gisbergen situation where if you don't get a caution at the stage, he's gone. He's going to be lapping cars at Sonoma, So it's really I'm not envious of the people on the 10th floor who have to make those decisions because you're never going to make everybody happy. Some people love them. Some people love the stages. Some people don't like the stages. Some people wish there were no cautions at the stages. I mean, there's one side, the other side, and everything in the middle right now in terms of what the playoff format should be. It's been the most talked about thing this year, I feel like, the playoff format. And I will say, like, I've never seen fans of a sport have so much influence over the way that the sanctioning body puts together their season. They complain that fans complain. Kenny Wallace, all the fans do is complain. They all complain all the time. But the complaining makes something happen usually. If you complain long enough, they're gonna step up and they're gonna say, "Okay, yeah, we'll make a change. We'll do something. We'll try something." Until it costs them a tremendous amount of money, like adding 1,000 horsepower to the car. They're not going to do that. But administrative changes, I would say, are things that they can control, that they know will make an immediate impact, and that they can get direct feedback from fans. Like the NASCAR fan survey, if you're not a part of that, I would encourage you all to submit your email and give Nat. They send an email out after every race weekend in this little form. You fill it out and They ask what you liked and did you watch and where did you watch and how'd you watch? And I think it's great outreach that they do. Can NASCAR sit there and read all the social media comments and read all the Twitter posts? No, that's silly. Millions and millions of followers online. If you're tweeting at them, you're not getting through. So there's ways to communicate to the sanctioning body, which is better than most sports, honestly. If fans got rowdy about the NFL and the way the NFL runs the Super Bowl, the NFL is going to tell you to pound sand. They don't care. It's their show. You want to watch, great. You don't, go watch something else. At least the voices get heard. And I'm no France family reunion attendee. Believe me, they don't want to see me coming. But they are making steps to be more interactive with the fan base and try to do more and do what they feel is the right thing. So, I think a lot of the racing has been good this year. It's just what we see too on the broadcast sometimes. Like I love when they show the battle for the lap down cars. That's great racing. Go to where the cars are 2 and 3 wide, even if it's in for a battle for 15th. I don't care. Put side by side up. Amazon Prime did it. USA does a pretty good job of it now. USA and NBC. This stretch of races, they've done a fairly good job of that. Of showing other storylines throughout the field outside of just the winner. If the winner's out and away and beating and banging and is winning the race. I'm great. I'm very happy that there's opportunities to show battles further back in the pack right now. The restarts, and the restarts after the stages, I saw somebody comment on that. Restarts are an art form. You saw racing earlier this year where if you can get a good restart and you can get a pull off your line and get a good bump and get that right, it means you can win the race. You can get that advantage. But if you don't know what you're doing, if you have a slip up and you miss a shift, you saw Bubba Wallace, that happened to him recently. Stacks up the field. It's a part of racing that happens. I think people, if you go to your local short track, there's cautions all the time. We raced twin 30s at Wall Stadium this past weekend. There was like 10 cautions in a 30-lap race. This is what happens in racing. All over. It's not just an isolated incident. It's happening everywhere. Who do you think wins Kansas? I think a Toyota wins Kansas. I don't know who, but a Toyota. I don't think that's a hot take. But so the question is, do I like stage races? I do. I do like stage racing under the current conditions, with the way that the car drives and the way that the passing is under long green flag runs. I think stage racing is not just good, but it is necessary. If things were to change moving forward, that opinion may also change. But I think it's a necessary part of what's happening because of the product of the car. That's the way I think about it. Restarts were the Achilles heel of Jeff Gordon, but the secret weapon of Kyle Busch. Very true, Dom. Very true. And that's part of, to me, I think that's, again, it's an art form and it decides races. I go to sleep at night and I close my eyes and I still think about Denny Hamlin jumping the restart on Martin Truex at Richmond last year. I still think about it. It adds in a different layer of competition. It adds in a layer where the officials have to get involved, and it adds in that story and that drama, but it adds in a skill level. It's how good of a jump can you get? Like, how good of a restart are you gonna have? Their strategy to, especially to the choose cone on restarts, where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna pick? How do you want to try to approach this? Who's on your inside? Who's on your outside? Who's around you? I think stage breaks and cautions, they allow that part of the race weekend, a part of the race strategy to happen, and for kind of the wild card to happen. I think there's small things like, should the stage caution laps be counted as part of the race event? Yeah, those are small things. Those are things that I think are fairly adjustable. But to try to sit and talk and have influence over, oh yeah, well, we should get rid of stages. I wouldn't hold your breath for that. And I wouldn't hold your breath for getting rid of cautions at stages either. I think the bigger conversation is more focused around the playoff format and the way that a championship is going to get decided. I think you got to take Talladega away as a cut race. I don't think Talladega as a cut race makes sense. You can have it in the playoff. I'm a big fan of it in the playoff and giving a super speedway driver an opportunity to do something. That's a talent level. That's a talent, a skill level, or a skill set and a talent level just for super speedway guys. It's good to give them that chance, but should it be a cut race? For me, it's not. But who am I? Get rid of eliminations during the playoffs? Well, that would kind of take you back to this. That would take you back to this this more points-based system, which I think works. I think a more firmed up points-based system works. But if you take eliminations out of the playoffs, does it take away from winning you're into the playoffs? Does it discredit that on the other side? I think the choose cone is a great piece in NASCAR in the cup level. It's what's pretty commonplace in almost all other motorsports too. I mean, in American motorsports, whether it's dirt or short track or anything we do, there's a choose cone element. So I think the choose cone is the right deal. I think you have to be careful though, because when you get guys like Ryan Preece who run over the center of the choose cone, personally, I think choose cone penalties are silly. I think choose cone penalties are silly, and drivers need to be aware of when they are choosing. But what is it? What is the penalty in NASCAR for hitting the choose cone? It's like you go to the rear of the field. Like, that's a little excessive for me. That's a little much. I hate how the driver finishes the best position in the last race when wins the championship. I mean, by the time we get to it, the way that the format works, that's the only way that it can happen. The choose is a gimmick that tracks that you can't pass at use. I mean, the car, you can't pass in this car. You can't pass like you used to in this car. And gimmick or not, it's something that they probably are smart to include, for whether it's for that reason or for other reasons. I think it just adds more strategy. I think it adds strategy beyond that, though, to like if teammates want to try to choose together and set themselves up, especially places like super speedways where, you're going to have to push people, or drafting tracks, whatever. So choose cone really grew on me quick. It's one more thing to make a fan bite their nails with anxiety as the restart approaches. Did they pick the right lane? Do we like who's in front or behind? I agree. Dom, bring it in. Dom, the voice of reason over here. I agree. I think it adds a added element of strategy. I hear people have conversations at short track level where you go out on the grid, right from the beginning, this person's in front of me, this person's next to me. I know what's going to happen to me. I'm going to move backwards. I'm going to move forwards. I'm going to have to race that person like this. How confident am I that I can go up there and maybe use them up a little bit, and they'll know that it's just racing. It's not me trying to abuse their car or take them out of the race. I think that's part of it. And I think it gets the blood pumping a little bit, like Dom said. It gets the nails biting a little bit, knowing that, are the Toyota's going to line up together, or the Penske's car is going to line up together. Yeah. Who's around you? Time for a new car. Good luck. It's going to be a long time before we get another new car. I was surprised with the speed Hendrick had this weekend. It's about time. It's about time they had that comeback. I think it's you can never count them out. They're Hendrick Motorsports still at the end of the day. So I was glad to see them get that run of speed, because when Hendrick runs good, the field runs good. And when when Penske runs good, the field runs good, because you're chasing something special when those guys are running really fast. It forces everyone out. I was really impressed with I've been very impressed, not just this week, but very impressed with AJ Allmendinger. Ran the fastest time in practice, won the pole at Bristol, right? But then obviously didn't have the speed this week to qualify as well as he probably wants to, but was the fastest car in practice. We don't talk a lot about that call at Cup car number 16. We don't talk a lot about AJ Allmendinger outside of road courses. And even now with Shane Van Gisbergen in the series, we've talked about AJ less, because we have a new road course ringer. AJ was kind of that guy, but that car's looked really good the last couple of weeks. So I'm curious to see what's happening over at Calling. I know they're doing the truck thing. We talked a lot about that, and they have their Xfinity team as well. But super interesting. Super, and happy for AJ. AJ's great people. I mean, funny guy, competitor, great guy. Just doesn't always get the chances he should. And that car, he's getting the chance now because the car's running really well. Yeah, SVG ran faster at New Hampshire. I think it's tough though. He's a road course guy. Do I ever see him winning on an oval? It'd be tough. It'd be a surprise. So drivers not in the playoffs are battling for owners points, correct? I guess. Owners championship points, manufacturers championship points. These are all great questions that I have no idea. Let's see. Yes, so owner points are based on the race team through all 36 races of the season, as well as the manufacturer points. So Toyota and Chevy are tied right now with number of wins for manufacturers championship. Toyota is 12 points behind, or I'm sorry, 19 points behind Chevy. Each manufacturer with 12 wins this year. Ford has only has 6 wins. So probably not in the running for a manufacturer championship, but Team Penske could be in the running for a regular season drivers championship. And then the team, the owner points, again, the same deal where it's kind of factored in where, right now Team Penske is leading the charge with Blaney. They are the best team in terms of team or owner points. And then the 24 of Hendrick and everything like that. So you can find all this on the NASCAR website. It's just like kind of hidden behind some different like tabs that you have to click through, but they do a good job of explaining, hey, this is the 36 race cumulative point for the drivers and owners, because they know that it's confusing. SVG will only win 1 or 2 races next season unless the next Cup drivers always catch up ringers. I don't know if the Cup drivers though can master the heel toe technique. I don't know if that's going to be something they can do. Ty Gibbs seems to be the one who's the closest to doing it in terms of the road course stuff. But if depending on where they race, right? So Watkins Glen, we saw Chris Buescher, was it last year, able to kind of get a leg up on SVG. But I do think SVG is going to continue to dominate the road courses. You haven't seen SVG yet, but we Aussie and Kiwis know how. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't take anything away from SVG. I just think, I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna be beat on road courses. The ovals are a problem for him, and it's something that he's working on. What are you supposed to do? I mean, the guy's never run ovals in his life, so he's learning at the highest level. He shot out of a cannon learning ovals. So. Yeah, the heel toe was around back in the day, but I don't think it's been something that drivers in this car or in these types of cars have needed to know. If you go back to like Gen 4, Gen 5, Gen 6, they really weren't running a lot of road courses. That's why Gordon won a lot of road courses. He kind of figured it out, and a couple other drivers, Tony Stewart kind of had it figured out. What is heel toe? It's where you use your right foot. Your heel goes on the brake and your toe is on the throttle on both pedals, and you're able to drive the car heel toe. So you can use the brake and the throttle simultaneously with one foot and shift with your hand and drive. It's a lot. I don't even pretend to understand how people do it. So MillerTech, good morning, MillerTech. How we doing this morning? We're feeling good. MillerTech in the chat on Twitter /X for the ATYL Media channels. Big weekends coming up. I don't know. We were just talking about that, FRM. We're just talking about Noah. We want lightning to strike Noah in a good way. 2 foot, so like the heel toe is faster, right? Or no, it's the other way. The toe is on the brake, the heel is on the gas. Maybe that's why I've never learned it. But 2 foot, I guess, is slower. I don't know. You're overlooking the work ethic and talent of the young drivers we have today. Just wait. I think there are, like, I think the Corey Himes and the Connor Ziliches and the young drivers will have a shot. But if I'm looking at the Cup field the way it sits right now, there's really not anyone to me that's going to sit there and compete against him. Zilich is the only one, and he's only going to have, he didn't have that full-time ride this year. It'll be next year. So next year, yes, I do think that Zilich will compete against SVG for road course wins, for sure. For sure. But right now, this year, like you talked to me about the Roval, I have SVG checking that box already. You know? So toes on the brake, heel on the gas. That seems so much more difficult than using 2 feet. But it has to be faster, right? Let's see. Let's see something. Let's read. Heel toe shifting. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. An advanced driving technique for manual transmission cars where the driver uses the ball of their right foot to apply brake pressure while simultaneously swiveling the heel or the side of their foot to blip or briefly press the accelerator to match engine revs for a downshift. And what that does is it carries more speed and you're able to do what SVG does. And then the left foot is on the clutch. You can manage the clutch to also carry speed and give you turn. It's interesting. My small brain says foot on gas, go forward fast, make left fast, go forward, win. That is me, you know. But that's why I'm here yapping and not out there doing anything else. That's why I like ovals. I'm not a twisty track boy. Until next, I'm going to try to be a twisty track boy next year. I'm going to try. I'm going to try to do F1 next year. We'll see. For Cadillac. Yeah, I'm really curious when that show is going to come out. We're actually well over time today. So I'm really curious when that's going to come out and what the, oh boy, hold on. And what the comments will be. Let's see. Is it out yet? No, it's not out yet. It'll probably be out this afternoon or tomorrow. That's usually when they record. But yeah, it's super tough to do that heel toe stuff. And that's why SVG is as good as he is at these tracks. All right. Is there anything else we want to talk about before we wrap it up? Because we're about a half an hour over time. So we talked a little about the Hamlin-Gibbs run-in. Going to be a fun comp meeting for them today, I would imagine. For me, it's Ty Gibbs in the wrong the whole way. So I don't think there's much to say there. Much really to break down. It's he doesn't want to lose. He doesn't want to give up spots to other cars, but to race his teammates running for a championship for an 11th place position the way he did is totally out of control to me. We start at 8 o'clock on Mondays. This show typically runs from 8 to 10. Sometimes we get a little happy and we run over. You know, we start yapping and talking to the chat a little bit more, and we get into some topics and talk about some things that take us to new places. And we go over. So I do this before my day starts on Monday mornings, each and every Monday after the race season. I think I'm going to miss a week coming up. Let's see. I'm going to let you know now. I'm sure I'll post about it as well moving forward. I'm going to miss at least one of these. I will miss the week of the championship. I'll miss doing the show that day on the 3rd. Dang, that's crazy, dude. That's the one I'm going to miss. Yep, I'll miss that one. I can't make it up. I'm traveling for work that week, so. But I'll be here every other week, and then throughout the off season, I'm going to plan to do some different types of content over the off season. We're going to bring back the iRacing streams over the off season, I think. I know. Will I do them every day? Absolutely not. But they will become more frequent again as there's not as much happening in the off season for me. Might do some talking head stuff like this where we talk about silly season because we'll be discussing the lawsuit stuff come December, and I'm sure there will be some fallout from that affects what racing could look like next year as well. Before we go, though, for those of you that are here now, if you'd like the chance to win a 2004 Martin Truex Jr. Busch Series diecast, Chrome Edition, this bad boy could be yours to add to the collection, as well as a stand, a diecast stand from Benzik Designs, and a $25 gift card to NASCARD.Shop. We are giving this away on Instagram at SlyJobSal. You can go over there, get yourself entered in. Like the post, share the post, tag some of your friends, follow along, and you'll be entered to win, again, a 2004 Martin Truex Jr. Chance 2 Motorsports Busch Series diecast, as well as that stand from Benzik Designs, and a $25 NASCAR.Shop gift card. So I need your opinion. What's your opinion on iRacing's change to the Gen 4 drafting? iRacing made a lot of changes recently. I haven't seen as much of the Gen 4 stuff as I've seen the changes made to the next gen car, and they drive very differently. I think they run more realistic to the on-track product that we see week over week in real life. So I don't know really much about the Gen 4 drafting stuff that they changed, to be honest. Looking for new connections. Have any ideas besides the ones I have here on TikTok? Looking for new connections in what way? LinkedIn is the move for the professional level connectivity. Nobody answers your messages there though either. So you're better off just tweeting at people. NASCAR media seems to live on Twitter and on LinkedIn for the most part. That in my experience, if you're looking to meet people or get close to people. And honestly too, like go to the racetrack. That's everybody that I've met in the sport. Like I had the chance to meet Ryan Flores earlier this year, Skip Flores, just happened to be at the racetrack at home. He was back home working with his cousin who races around the area, just sitting up there in the booth. Hey, Ryan, nice to meet you. Big fan of yours. Oh yeah. Thanks, man. Love the podcast. Love this, love that. And, people are very accommodating. Yeah, man. If you ever need anything, here's my number. People do that. Do they call you? I don't know. Nobody calls me, but it's probably because of my wildly outlandish takes and the yap that I do here, and I get myself in hot water sometimes. Not really, but regardless, making those connections in the industry. The best advice I ever got, and I don't know if I've ever shared this on this show, was from Jessie Punch. She's a wonderful pit reporter, personality, social media creator, does a podcast, is on TV, does a lot of things. But she was someone who I felt like was like the new generation of like NASCAR media people, So I commented on something that she posted long ago, a couple of years back, and her advice to me is the advice that I took and is the best advice, that I've gotten at the very beginning, at least. And I've been given the same advice over and over, where just you have to start and do things and reach out to people and just let people know you're there. If they don't know you're there and that you want to do it, they're not going to assume that you're there to do it. So that is my advice to people now. And it's never been a better time to be involved in the NASCAR media space than there is today. There's more opportunity. There's more storylines. There's more racing for everyone to enjoy, whether you like Cup Series racing or Xfinity or trucks or ARCA or Cars Tour or modifieds or dirt or, dirt modifieds or sprint cars or World of Outlaws or NHRA. You like Pro Stock NHRA. You like Funny Car NHRA. You like whatever you like. There's an avenue to talk about it. And that's part of what ATYL Media is too. Shameless plug. Bringing all of those corners of the motorsports world together under one roof, with some of your, recognizable creators, bringing you those topics and storylines every week. So, that is my recommendation to you, Andrew. Not that I'm someone who is like the end all be all of, how you should do this. I'm figuring it out too. So, I need to take this phone call. I apologize. House phone calls. House phone call. Good news. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. Anyway, um, we're getting closer. Getting closer to being out of the basement. Anyway, that's gonna do that. I don't even know where I left off, to be honest with you. So, why does Chase have no personality other than Bill's kid and a siren? I don't know. That's a Hendrick thing. They have a thing for the Hendrick brand presence. I appreciate the follow, Andrew. Thank you. We do get into some longer form like career talk here sometimes too for folks. If it's a popular enough topic in the chat, I'll go down a rabbit hole on it. Is Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman replacement away from the fourth tier R&D car? No, stop it. Don't be silly. The fall of Chase Elliott from the face of Hendrick to the third tier to the fourth one day must be studied. Again, Chase. Again, people are really critical of him and Gustafson this year. They've run really well. Have they won the way that Hendrick probably expects them to? No, they haven't. But neither has the 24 car. The 24 car has been one of the better. And certainly the 48 hasn't performed to that level either. So I don't think those guys are in danger. The 48 more than anyone, they're going to talk about the 48 as the odd man out in that team until he wins races or he gets replaced. But I don't think any of them are in danger of being replaced, at least in the short term right now. But all right, kids. Yeah, I lived in a basement for a year to buy a house. 2. Thanks, Grandma. That's what we're doing. So for those of you who like the little personal side of this show, we rented for 2 years, and me and my fiance, we rented for a couple of years. We were living with our parents, out of college and trying to work and doing what we did, and we spent a lot of money renting, which is great if that's what you want to do. There's nothing wrong with renting, but if you're going to be in a certain area and you want to have an asset and you want to do those things, buying a house is certainly the preferable option. So we moved into her parents' basement. We moved in May, June, July, August, September. It's been March, April, May, June, July, August, September. It's been 7 months. It's been 7 months. We've been in the basement. We've been able to sock away a pretty fair amount of cash. We're looking at some houses in South Jersey that are what I think is affordable for the Jersey market. I don't know where all y'all are from, but New Jersey in general is not an inexpensive place to live. So we found a place that is. So everything in Jersey is about counties. And I don't know other places. Maybe I'm telling you all something you already know, because maybe it's like this in other states too. But everything is about counties and county lines. And the place that we found is in a county that charges less money for property tax and utilities and all these things, but it's literally on the border with the county we live in now. So you get all the benefits of the cost of living of the next county over that's a little less populated, but you're still close enough to where you grew up and where you know where you live now that it's like you get all the amenities of that area. So we're walking a tightrope walk, and it's very nerve-wracking. And this is not NASCAR related, but this is part of the show that, on the personal level, you go see a house on one day, you drive by it one day, you see it listed. You see it listed on one day. You drive by it the next day. There's an open house the day after that, and then you got to put an offer in if you want it that day. So it happens in a real hurry, especially here in the New Jersey metropolitan area, because we do have such close access to Philadelphia and access to New York City for people to work. I work from home, which is the real kicker, because I don't utilize any of the benefits of the geography of the area. But yeah, we're working on that too. So we'll see. The house market is crazy. We were able to find something that we felt like was affordable. It's like 1,000 square foot ranch. For 2 people, it's enough to get started. And that's really, I think, all we're looking for. I have friends who bought 3 or 4 bedroom houses, and it's a 3-bed, 1-bath. I wish it had another bathroom, because I love spending time in the bathroom. I'm a big hot dog guy. So hot dogs in the chat. Can we get some hot dogs in the chat? Big hot dog guy. And the toilet is a man's throne. Truly. So important to make sure. But I think the beauty of buying a house versus renting, if you have that flexibility, is, hey, I want to knock that wall down. Hey, I want to put an addition on. Hey, I want to put a garage outside. I want to put up a pole barn. I think that's the piece to it. Yeah, see, hot dogs in the chat. Toilet screaming. Toilet emojis. Are there toilet bowl emojis? Can somebody send some toilet emojis in the chat? Hot dog and toilet emojis in this chat would be we would be so back. But I appreciate everybody for being here this morning. 32 of you currently still. Yeah, there are toilet bowl emojis in the chat. That's so funny. I appreciate you all for being here this morning, whether it's ATYL Media via Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter/X, or on TikTok. If you like what you saw here and you want to be a part of the action every Monday, the toilet paper one's even better. All right, we're gonna start involving these emojis in this stream more. I bet you Ty Gibbs needed some toilet paper after that caution this week. Denny took him out. Hey now, if you like what you saw, I encourage you to follow along. It's we're just building a community here where we can all kind of get together and talk about NASCAR on Monday mornings. The inspiration here is some type of radio style show, but you don't have to call in. You just jump in the chat. We can all talk back and forth to one another and interact with each other and everything that we do in the motorsports world. We can talk about it and be a part of it. So I appreciate everybody for spending the time and being a part of it this morning. Hot dogs equals toilet time, 100%. Yes, Yancy, 100%. It's toilet time for me. So I appreciate you all for being here. Again, the giveaway. This is like the 4th time I've talked about it. On Instagram, please, if you want to be involved in the giveaway, we're going to give away this Truex Busch Series Championship diecast. We're going to give away a stand from Benzik Designs, as well as a $25 credit for NASCARD.Shop. So you'll be able to purchase from that site as well, to the tune of $25. You could get cards. He sells diecasts, so you can get that diecast stand. Here's one to put on the diecast stand, right? And then you could get yourself another diecast if you find one for the right price. So appreciate everybody for being here. Make sure you check out that giveaway. As always, Follow ATYL Media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter/X, everywhere you find at ATYL Media, and as well as right here, Sly Job Sal, Facebook, and Instagram, TikTok. That's where you can really find us for the most part. So appreciate you all for being here.